we record the this live session, and we actually upload it afterwards into the FSO platform for you guys. Let me show you basically where it's at real quick. So this is being recorded, and after I finish the session, I go ahead and edit, upload it, compress it, do all the different things I need to. Then it gets put into the archived weekly training videos. So if you want to go back and watch what we discussed tonight, definitely you'll be able to see it. Usually I get this uploaded and done by the around midnight afterwards. So it takes me a little bit. So usually by Tuesday midnight, it'll be there for you guys to be able to go watch it, anytime Wednesday. That's in the archived weekly. The other thing I want to point out about the archived weekly training is you'll notice this is where it's going to go. Week 1's recording, week 2, the 2 different sessions that are happening for week 2, week 3, week 4. And one other thing that I usually have set up for you guys is I leave last month's archives. That way you can actually go and view, if you want to work ahead, the actual live training sessions for those homework assignments. So it works out great for you if you're, for instance, if you're in the military or something and you know you're going to be gone and you won't be able to do an assignment, you want to do it ahead of time. Hey, here's the instructions for each one of those assignments for you guys. You could go view last month's, and they're basically exactly the same as what you guys are dealing with this month. So that's the archives. Now, to explain what the class is. The class, well, first of all, welcome to RPR, which is Recording Principles, and the class is going to cover all the basics. Now, what we want to really get you to understand is to really get a good foundation as an audio engineer, you need to know the basics. You need to understand what the knobs do, what each parameter does to your sound. And also, we're going to be teaching you other things, like, for instance, good habits to get into, for instance, naming. So you get to start naming, and you'll start learning how to save your files correctly in ways that will help you in the future. From many years of experience, I will tell you that documenting or naming everything and putting little notes in different places, I'll show you where you can put notes as well, help you out so much, because many times we'll start working on a project, it gets shelved or put aside, then you have to come back to this project many years later or months later or whatever, weeks, and when you pull up a session and it has nothing but audio for every single track and every single file, you end up with a difficult situation where you're going to have to listen to every single thing and then try to label everything, because you won't remember what everything is named. Was that audio 1 or 2 that the vocal was on? You see what I mean? So by physically naming everything, it's going to help you guys out a lot. The whole class is based around just all those basics. We're going to teach you about compression. We're going to teach you about EQs. We're going to teach you about gates, and also other what they call dynamic effects. So we're changing the dynamics of the sound, and also time-based effects, where we're adding to the sound. So the class is covering all those basics, as well as a few things for logic, which also is a great point to bring up, is you will be working in Logic this whole month. So if you don't have Logic installed, you definitely want to go to the page right here where it says Important First Day Getting Started with Logic. This actually walks you through, shows you how you already technically have Logic installed. All you need to do is come over here and either update, or it will say accept. So you click on it, it downloads it immediately, sets it all up for you. Everything's done for you. This is all done through the Apple Store. Full Sail has already taken care of this stuff for you. It's a matter of you just saying you're accepting you're getting that Final Cut Pro, GarageBand, iMovie, all the different ones that come in your bundle. Now, one thing we like to point out for you guys, you're going to be needing to use your Apple ID. If you don't already have one, definitely put together one, and remember, this is going to be the way you access all of your programs and everything that you do in the professional world. So you probably don't want to name it, Apple ID, my cat loves tuna. It needs to be something that will work with you, that you could use as a professional. So we point that out, that it's going to be your own, and don't forget this. Put this information somewhere important. Someone's asking, do you use your own personal Apple ID? Yes, that'll be fine. You want to use your own because it ties everything together. Apple has set this up to where literally your iTunes account, your App Store account, everything's all tied together. It uses the same Apple ID and same password that you've already created. But we want to make sure that you guys don't try to set up a new account or whatever. Just use whatever you have. Or if you don't have one, set one up, and that's where I was recommending, use something that you're going to remember. Because this Apple ID is how you're going to be able to update and do other things that you'll need to do. The important first day getting started with Logic assignment. It's an assignment, as you guys could see, but it's not weighted. In other words, we're not grading you for this, but it is definitely an assignment that you'll need to do before you even get started with your assignments that will be graded. It walks you all the way through, setting up everything. There's a PDF, you could download this, really shows you everything. Now, other things that we want to point out for you is once you do have Logic, you've set it up, we want you to go into Logic and set up Logic into the what we call advanced settings. Normally, Logic shows up with wood, these wood grain sides, kind of working kind of like a GarageBand at this point. But we're now becoming audio professionals, so we want you to actually put it into the advanced settings, and as you can see, we walked you through even that. So in Logic, you'll see it says Preferences under the Logic drop down. Go to Advanced Tools. It'll open up a new window, and right here just click on Show Advanced Tools, and once you've done that, those wood sides will disappear. This gives you a lot more features and a few, everything from notes per track to extra plugins and everything else. So definitely use those advanced tools. It'll help you out a lot. One other thing is Logic comes with a huge library that you guys can download. The library, all you need to do is, again, under Logic Pro, you'll see Sound Library, and just download your essential. Now, this could take a little while, and it all depends on your internet speed, but it's a very large library. It includes everything from all kinds of different loops, sounds, and also plugins. You'll be learning more about plugins like reverb plugins and so forth. But go ahead and download those. One cool thing is you don't have to just sit there, hit download, and wait. You could actually continue working. Logic will do this in the background where it won't interfere with you, and you could mess around and use Logic. I see somebody typing about the Logic Remote. Yes, Logic will work with the Logic Remote that is on your iPad. If you have an iPad or your phone, you could actually go to the Apple site and download that app, and that gives you a remote way of physically controlling Logic. Now, not needed for this class, but hey, it's definitely a cool thing to do and have. For instance, if you want to record yourself and you just happen to be in the vocal booth, how do you start your computer recording? Well, you could bring your iPhone, bring your iPad with you, and physically hit record, start recording, and record yourself while your laptop and your interface and everything else is in your control room. So the logic remote's very nice, very useful. All right, after each assignment, also we want you to hit complete. You know, if it's a non-graded one, still hit complete. Only that just tells me that yes, you got to see this information and this will help you out. It allows us to know that, hey, you're following the class as well and you're doing the things that we're asking from you. The exit here. So you'll see the first stuff, just in case you don't know, this is how you can open and close a folder. You'll see this first one, which is RPR Essentials in your assignments. It's a must read and complete right away. These are just small little things that we have for you guys to read. The deadlines are everything. It's talking about the late submission policy. We do accept late submissions. Not every class does. We'll allow you to go ahead and submit something a little bit late if something's come up, but you end up losing points. So honestly, think of this as a job. That's the best way we could describe it. And if your employer, you know, says, hey, I need this commercial put together, edited, and ready to go by Friday, because we are going to be airing this thing on Friday. So I need it there Friday morning by 9 o'clock. That way it could hit the air by 10. Well, if you don't have it done, well, your employer's not going to be very happy with you. Plus, you could imagine airtime would have cost quite a bit, and that loss of airtime, the radio station will not give that money back. They don't care whether they have the commercial in hand or not. They will basically say, hey, you grabbed that spot, you paid for it, sorry, you know, you lost that one spot. As soon as you get us the actual radio spot, then we'll start airing it for you. So think of it that way. You know, keep us involved, keep us in the loop. Also, we ask if we understand life happens, and you know, if you tell us, hey, I just ended up having to run to the hospital because someone got hurt, you know, my child fell down or whatever, we understand. Just send us a little note or something like that, and we'll work with you on those late submissions and so forth. But normally it's minus 20 points penalty if you're late, and we have a 3-day limit of the submission, unless if, you know, you've spoken to us and under circumstances we'll work with you. So we do work with you. It's a matter of just, you know, communicate with us, tell us what's happening. The next thing you'll see here is the project submissions and FSO issues. Sometimes you will run into problems when you're trying to upload. You know, let's say for whatever reason I'm having problems uploading my logic session, which is something that does happen. The quick fix for that one is actually you zip the file. But if you still have problems, you know, here we actually explain how to physically zip or compress the data file. Once you've zipped it, you're able to upload it. But if you still have problems, you could contact FSO support. FSO support will help you out as far as figuring out what's happening, and they will even send us a message quite often to kind of keep us informed that, hey, you are having problems. That way I don't mark you late on an assignment just because you were having problems trying to upload it. The other thing is last resort, you're still having problems. FSO can't help you for whatever reason. There's something called Dropbox. If you haven't heard of it, it's basically think of it as a cloud or a location on the internet where you upload into this Dropbox, and the Dropbox, then you tell it to notify me and it will send me an email. You give, you know, my email, of course, and then I'm able to go there and download it. Dropbox is usually very easy to work with, and it's completely free also. If you just click on this link, if you don't have a Dropbox account already, it's a free account, doesn't cost you anything, and I believe it's 10 gig that you get to start off with for free. So real easy to set up if you haven't. Great to work with also if you're collaborating with other people, other students, and so forth on projects, because files that will not be able to be sent via the email system because they're just too large, Dropbox will take care of those type of problems for you. All right, the other thing that you guys have as far as to be able to get help is, let's say you're having problems with your interface. Let's say you're having problems as far as for whatever reason I'm not getting signal into Logic. I've got everything hooked up the way I should, and I'm not sure why I don't get signal into Logic, and I need to do this assignment. Every single day we actually have the tech helplines. It's a go-to meeting, kind of like what you are right now. All you need to go is go there, and it is live every single day from 5 till 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they will actually help you be able to physically, reconnect, make signal flow, or figure out what's happening with your system as to why you're not hearing anything on your, microphone, or in Logic, I should say. I'm just looking real quick through the chat window just to make sure I haven't seen anything. All right, I see someone pointing out something about the launch box. If you have not received your launch box, definitely contact your instructor and just tell him. We'll work with you again as far as those due dates. That's a very good excuse as to why you weren't able to do that homework assignment. So just tell us, keep us informed. We'll work with you. Now, as far as who to contact as to why you haven't gotten the launch box yet, that would be FSO support. They are the ones that deal with the launch boxes. They're able to make sure, see what's happening. They could tell you the status on where it's at. Is it on the way? Is it oops, we need to wait a day or two because we haven't got enough interfaces right now, and we're waiting on some interfaces from back order or whatever, those type of things. So FSO support would be the person or the people to contact on anything with the launch box problems. Now the next thing you guys will see here is the roll call. Roll call is basically, it's just like it kind of sounds, is we're actually taking notes as to who's part of the class. Sometimes names will get put into the class because someone was supposed to be taking this class, but then they either took a leave of absence or whatever it might be, and we don't get updated as quickly. So using the roll call just informs us that, oh, you're going to be taking this class next month or whatever. So basically, just all you need to do is you can read through it real simple. Again, here's the tech lines as far as technical support, but the roll call is just a little bit of information for us and for you. So just read through it, hit complete afterwards, and that'll tell us that you're here, you're part of the class. I can make sure that whenever I send out any kind of emails, you'll be part of that. The other thing is you guys have a lot of resources. I want to point out some of the resources that you guys will actually have. For instance, Safari Books will actually point you towards some books that are on Safari Books. Everybody who is part of this class has that capability. Safari Books is something that Full Sail has set up for you guys. You don't have to pay for it, so don't try to go there directly as far as typing in safaribooks.com or whatever it is, but use, and I'll show you right now, under in the corner. So when you're in FSO, you'll see your picture up there, or if you haven't uploaded a picture, you could click on that. Nevertheless, go to resources, and you'll see right here you have Safari Books. You also have capabilities of reaching the Full Sail library through here, as well as also lynda.com, which lynda.com is videos about the softwares and different other things that we have set up for you. So one thing, you are using logic, we'll be pointing you towards Linda every once in a while. As for extra information, lynda.com, and you'll be just looking up how to use logic. I know many of you are new to the audio field, and this is all new to you. Lynda.com videos that we've got up there for you guys are a great way of actually being able to view how to use logic, for instance. Or even if you're new to the Mac, there's some Mac videos up there as well. We'll try to help you out also with some videos that we've created as far as simple little things, how to save in Logic, how to compress files, and everything else, how to take screenshots, all the different things that you'll be needing for this class. The next thing, well, getting started with Logic, which we kind of discussed already. You'll be using Logic. Don't worry about the other programs that you will be getting. For instance, I know you'll be getting Pro Tools. Some of you guys will get Aurelia, Musician, quite a few different, depends on which program you're taking. But nevertheless, FSO support will be able to help you out with some of those. For this class, the only one that you need will be Logic. Logic is the one program that we're going to be using for everything. Make sure I'm not missing anything. No. All right. The other program that you have and everything will be Word, as well as also you get quite a few programs. So once you've set up your Apple ID and everything, you'll be able to see all the different programs that you got with your launch box. All right, next thing, setting up your audio interface. Okay, this one is important. You'll need your audio interface when you're recording and doing any kind of well, even mixing if you want to use your external speakers. Some of you did get external speakers, some of you don't. It all depends on what system you got, because it's depending on which course you're taking. There's people here from music production bachelor's. There's also the audio production certificate students. You'll have one type of interface, which will be the Focusrite 2i4 and a dynamic microphone. I know you receive a few other things, but those are the main things that you'll be using for the class. You can set everything up. I actually created an interactive guide here for the 2i4. Explains how to physically go through and connect the 2i4 to your laptop, and it explains the connectors and everything else. Now, I programmed this in Flash, so that making it completely interactive. If for whatever reason you don't have the Flash player, I've also given you the Flash player, which is a free download. You could just click on this, download it, and then you'll be able to open up your Flash files that I've created. If you happen to be audio production students, you'll have the Focusrite 18i20. And again, I've given you a different interactive guide to help you as far as setting up that interface. I see somebody saying I tried to download it and it didn't download. Okay, not sure why that's happening, but if you hold down Control and you click on something, you'll see how I can open up a new window and download linked file. Try it that way. If for whatever reason it's not downloading just by clicking on that, you could always hold down Control and it opens up an extra window, giving you a few more options. So I could download it directly, it'll be named the same, or I could download it and change its name if you wish to. But just download it, linked file. Once again, if you don't have the Flash player, here's another copy of it. Now, I get this type of question quite a bit from different students is, hey, I'm going to start doing some mixing. I want to actually, be able to hear things correctly. I've recommended a few videos here for you guys that I went and listened to, and I thought they were, done right and correctly. So I give you a couple different videos here that you could go watch talking about how to set up your room acoustics. Now, you can spend thousands of dollars setting up a room to do it acoustically correct, or you could just work with the best that you can. So right here, this one from Bobby Owensky, improve the sound of your room for $150 or less, is actually a great video. You'll be hearing different things on lynda.com also from this guy. He knows quite a bit about his stuff. But there's 3 different videos that gives you a lot of insight into how to set up your room as far as proper acoustics, because your room will actually make a difference as to how your mixes turn out. You'll need to learn a little bit about acoustics. You will be learning more as you go farther into the program, but this at least gets you started. All right, the next thing, oh, and if you, for whatever reason, still have problems even using the interactive guides to help you set up those interfaces, still can't get the interface to work, remember, you still have the tech lines. The tech help lines will they'll be able to do a GoToMeeting with you, share screens, and be able to show you and get you to set up those interfaces correctly. The next thing, the weekly live training link, as you guys could see, well, you're here. So you've already successfully done that one. The weekly live training link basically is just the how to register to the live sessions that we are doing right now. And that pretty simple. Just register once and you'll get a notification for every single time that we actually have one of these live trainings. The archived weekly training videos, like I explained earlier, this is where we actually put all these recordings into. You'll be able to see exactly what you need to know for the different assignments. We basically have a different video for every single week, except for week 2, which we have so much information that we decided to make it into 2 videos. So that's why we have a Tuesday and a Thursday live training session for week 2. The next thing, as you guys can see, is the Safari Books online recommendations. This is just extra. We give you a couple different books that are really pretty good. You'll be able to find them as ebooks. They should be on Safari Books online. Again, if you guys remember, just click right on your picture, go down to resources, and then Safari Books. Click on that and that'll lead you directly into using the Full Sail portal, so that way you won't be required to, or won't be asked to just subscribe and, pay. So this is basically your free entrance, you might say, for both the Safari Books and lynda.com. And then lastly, as you guys can see, the recommended links. These are different links that I've added over the time of pretty cool stuff that you guys will enjoy watching and learning from. This is all extra. These links are great. For instance, the Cambridge one here is where you could download available sessions, fully recorded, multi-track, where you could practice. You'll be doing one mix session with us just to practice using your tools. We're not grading you for mixing or anything, but we are grading you for actually using your tools correctly. Here's a way of getting extra stuff that you guys can practice with. Documentaries, different other things. In fact, here's the ones about your room setup. Some software. It's actually pretty cool. It lets you, test out your room or be able to check out to see what your room is doing to sound. Room Wizard, or Room EQ Wizard, I should say. And also some extra stuff here that I've created in the past where you guys can learn about some of the different units that are out there. Some of the vintage keyboards, for instance, the Mellotron. If you've ever wondered how that worked, This explains and shows you interactively how all these things work, how the Leslie rotor speaker works, the Wurlitzer time pianos work. Just good extra information, as well as also patch bays, which are in a studio a definite need to know how to work. Lastly, that's all the stuff that's in the RPR Essentials. You'll notice we also have an open group discussion. Now, the open group discussion is nothing more than just that. It's a place for you guys to be able to go and share with your colleagues, your classmates. Hey, I just did this recording. I want your opinion. You know, you can post stuff like that there. You could talk about, hey, I live in Texas and I've got a church gig, but I need some help. Anybody else in Texas that might want to help me out? They need a couple engineers. Well, you could post stuff like that. You can communicate with each other. You could collaborate. You might find, I'm looking for a singer. You might find that one of your fellow students is a singer. Maybe you could collaborate on some stuff. You could send them the song stuff and the lyrics. They could practice, sing the song, record themselves, send it back to you. You guys can collaborate, working back and forth. So, great place for you guys to be able to share stuff like that. This is the place for you guys to interact with each other. Now, one thing is not a good place to ask a question to me about week one's assignment, because I'm not always in there in the open group discussion. So if you have a question about week one's assignment, well then, you know, send it to your send it to me, send it to any of the other instructors that you have, whoever you have as your instructor. But anything else, great place to post for you guys. All right, that's basically it in a nutshell for what this class is all about. Again, it's the basics. Now, I know some of you may already have some knowledge and been doing this for a little bit. I've run into that a couple times. Just listen to us, hear us out, because we're going to be giving you guys a lot of years of experience between myself and the other instructors. We've all been doing this for many, many years. I think I must be 32 years or so, 33 years. I've been actually an engineer recording. So a lot of knowledge there. We can help you guys out. Even if you've, I've been using Logic for 2 years already. There's a lot of tricks and a lot of good habits I can get you into by, giving you that information. So ask us, your instructors will help you out. That's what this whole class is about, is really learning a really good foundation for you guys to be able to go through the rest of the Full Sail correctly. Because once you understand the basics, all the other stuff, when the other instructors from other classes start speaking to you, you'll understand the words and you'll know what they're talking about. Then that information really makes more sense. All right, I am going to go ahead and open up the mics. If there's any questions on anything from those essentials.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yes.
Okay. Are you still doing it, Pat?
All right. I had to mute one mic. Any questions? Yes. Angel.
Yes. I have a question. This is pertaining to the software that we have.
Yes, Antonio. Hold on. I'm gonna mute some mics real quick that are a little too noisy. All right, go ahead, Antonio. What's the question about the software?
My question was pertaining to when I received my project Launchbox. The university sent me a bunch of like links and passwords to download the software. Mm-hmm. None of that is working for me on anything. Like, I've tried to install all the other programs that was included in there, but nothing. It's telling me that I need verification process, that I got to send something in to Avid in order for me to have my account active.
Okay. FSO support will be the people that are going to be able to help you out there. You're going to have to contact them. Unfortunately, I don't have any codes or anything. I can't help you out there that much. But if you contact FSO support, they'll be able to, figure out what's happening and take care of that, So
Okay, and then just one other question.
Sure.
Right now I'm in a phase where I got signed up for the wrong program. I was supposed to get everything for the audio production bachelor's section, but they sent me everything from music production.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, then definitely FSO support again. And I might want to contact as well, besides FSO support, I would probably contact your student advisor. Sometimes your student advisor, with situations like that, they can actually help you a lot quicker.
They told me that it wouldn't take place until January 7th until they can switch me back. So all the additional stuff that supposed to come with the audio production is not here, and I gotta wait until January for that to take place, for that transition.
Okay. Well, the good news, yeah, you might have to wait, but the good news is this class, you'll still be able to do everything because all you need is the interface, which I presume you got the 2i4 then.
Yes.
Okay, and you got at least one microphone with a microphone cable.
Yeah, I already had recording instruments. Yeah, I have pretty much an entire setup. The only thing that I was missing was the because I was running the PreSonus, the music studio for the student version, and I have the mic. I have a condenser mic. I have other mics, and it was just a matter of I was more concerned that being that they sent me the wrong stuff, and if I install all this stuff, then eventually I'm going to have to send this stuff back to the university. So I'm hesitant to install anything. I've already spoken to academic counselors, and they already told me that there's nothing that can be done until January. I'm locked in until January. But, this is a whole bunch of gear that I already have.
Yeah. I've never run into this, so I'm not quite sure what to tell you. But your student advisor is the one person that would be able to handle this stuff. Now, I would probably ask, I'm guessing, you should be okay to use this gear as you're in this program. And I know other students that have actually, hey, I'm taking the just a certificate, for instance, and they end up liking the classes so much that they end up saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to go for the full bachelor's. So then they change gear and stuff like that and everything. So I would think that they were probably going to be okay with you using the gear to be able to do these classes that you're taking right now.
Okay.
But I'd still go ahead and contact your student advisor and say, look, I'm already in class. I need to use this gear. Should I go ahead and just open it up, use it? Or are you guys going to give me the new gear? Put it to them that way, maybe.
Okay. All right. I'll try that process.
Okay.
I had a question.
Yes, Philip.
So I'm currently running off of a ISA 1 running into my Apollo MK2, and I'm running that into my Blueberry microphone, and I feel like some of the stuff that I'm getting is a downgrade. Do I have to go this direction?
No. You could use your own, like you're mentioning very good microphones, very good interface. The Apollo's
my microphone's $1,000, so I was just like, I don't want to use those other two that they sent me. I got a pretty good setup that I prearranged, and I didn't want to start opening stuff and saying, you know what, I gotta use this, and I didn't even know if I had to run my the equipment that you guys gave me through my Apollo just so I can have control the way I
No.
want to have control.
Your Apollo will do everything that this Focusrite unit that you got will do.
Okay.
So you have full capability of using the equipment that you already have. The only thing that will be maybe different is if you, let's say you're using Pro Tools right now with the Apollo, is, well, you're going to get Logic and you get to see Logic and work with Logic, but it's still going to be able to interface to that Apollo interface.
I've been using Logic for over 10 years and I know nothing about Pro Tools. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay, well then, this class, don't worry, you're in Logic. You won't have to worry about it. Pro Tools, you will get to play around with later. Now, one thing I always get asked by the students, what's the difference? Well, Pro Tools is still a DAW, a digital audio workstation, just like Logic is. They're basically the exact same thing. It's just two different companies, building a software that does the same things. Now, the power in Logic is usually with the sequencing. It's a lot stronger, using instruments and creating music in Logic. Pro Tools is a lot stronger as far as audio editing. So I would say if you're working from scratch, creating the whole song, use Logic. If you are, you've got a band coming in that's all live instruments, well, Pro Tools might be the better choice. And you could always work off of one and transfer to the other. That's the cool thing about DAWs. There's ways of saving the files in a way
Bouncing
that they'll
tracks.
Yes, you basically are saving what they call stems or bouncing the tracks, transfer them over, open it up, and you could jump into the next, DAW that you wish.
Right.
So you already, since you've been using one DAW, it won't be too hard. You're just going to have to learn a few different key commands and where the windows
I just bought
are.
one of those sleeves for my keyboard so I can cheat at it because I don't know it nothing.
One thing that's very cool is for you guys who are used to Pro Tools, I know this won't help you as much, but all your quick keys, if you've learned your Pro Tools quick keys, you could actually map them into Logic. Logic gives you the capability of saying, oh, since he's already used to the Pro Tools quick keys, here, just run it this way, and you could use those same quick keys to open up different windows the same way that you did in Pro Tools.
Does it do it the other way around?
No, Pro Tools, Avid is not as friendly, I guess, in that sense.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll take what I got.
All right, any other questions?
Yes, I have a question about the Flash Player installer. I tried to install it onto my MacBook, and it came up, but it wouldn't let me open it. So I'm not really sure how my next move, what to do.
Okay, it came up, but it wouldn't let me open it. Let's see. So where is it? Setting up your own interface. So you downloaded it?
Yes.
Let me see how it downloads just to verify. I know it's there it is. Okay, so it downloads as a DMG, which is a compressed file. All you need to do is click on that, double click it, and it should open up and tell you to, let me do it.
I clicked it, and it did open up. It did open up, but it wouldn't, when I press open, because it said it came from a website, which is online, FSO, and I clicked it, and it opened, but it did, like right there, and I double clicked that, and then it wouldn't, after that, it wouldn't do anything else.
All right, it opened up the program, but you don't really have, did you get this message right here?
Yeah, I got that message, and I clicked that, and then nothing else happened.
What it's Apple basically saying, hey, I don't know what this is. It may not be safe. That's all they're saying. We know this is safe, so you can go ahead and tell it open. Now, the program is now open for me, but because I don't have anything I'm clicking on as far as I need to download the actual Swift file or SWF, download that, and then you could open it, either having the Flash Player open or just double clicking that the downloaded SWF file, and then the interactive thing will open up.
Okay, thank you. I thought I was going crazy.
Yeah, no worries. See, right there, I just opened up the microphone one that I did about polar patterns. And this is what I mean that they're interactive. You could click on stuff and rotate. Like right there, we grabbed the microphone and we changed rotation so that you guys could hear how polar patterns work on microphones.
0 degrees. 0 degrees.
All the different types of, you'll hear audio recorded with that microphone. In fact, this is a 414, at those angles. All right. Any other questions?
Yes, I had a question.
Yes, AJ.
Yeah, I was wondering, I got everything installed and the software working right. I know that I watched the video earlier and you said you could play YouTube or iTunes through your Scarlett interface.
Yes.
I didn't know where I could find that at to where I could change the settings so I could hear the iTunes or YouTube through the monitors.
Okay, no problem. It's actually inside of the install ones. If you download those interactive guides, but let me show you anyways. Just go to System Preferences right underneath the Apple.
Okay.
You open System Preferences up. Now, it gives you this. Just go ahead and still, you're going to go right here. Show all. I don't know why it always shows up with that, iCloud account thing. I guess it's a new Apple thing. But in here, you'll notice sound.
Okay.
Click on sound. Here is where you could select your output, your input, and everything for the computer.
Oh, cool.
So if you want to, I unfortunately don't have an interface connected, but if I had my interface connected, I would actually see it. I would say Focusrite 2i4 or 18i20. Just click on that and that becomes the output. So everything that your computer is doing, whether you're viewing YouTube videos or movies or whatever, it will now come out through your Scarlett interface.
All right, thank you, man.
Well, sure. Same thing with the input. You could select the Scarlett interface being your input versus like the little microphone that's built into the internal microphone that's on the laptop.
All right.
All right. Any other questions?
I got a question.
Yes, Joshua.
Okay, so I was messing around with Logic, and I plugged in my guitar, and I got the interface working and everything. And I go to click on an effect, and you couldn't hear the effect on a guitar. Like, it would stay in, and I changed the output back to the speakers in the computer, then I would be able to hear the effects on the guitar. I don't know why it wouldn't, do it through the interface. I had my headphones on, I could hear like the guitar clean, but couldn't hear the effect unless you changed the output.
Where is your guitar plugged in? It's going into the interface?
It was in the second output, and I switched it over to instrument.
All right. So you got it on input number 2.
Yeah.
And in Logic, you've set it up so that your input is selecting input number 2. Just kind of going over the basics. There.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay. There you should have seen in Logic being able to. Oh, I think I know why. And I'm just assuming here. Do you have the 2i4?
Yes.
Okay. On the 2i4, you have this one knob. God, I wish I had a 2i4 in front of me. One knob that basically gives you the capability of listening to the computer or the input. What that does is reduces latency for you. But if you have it completely set to input, then it's going to bypass what's coming out of the computer as far as that instrument, and it lets you hear that instrument instantly versus running through the computer, having lag or delay, then coming back out, and it's freaky if you have a slow computer and with your interface, if you're, let's say, singing vocals and you hear yourself a millisecond later or 2 milliseconds later. So that knob is there for that purpose. So maybe you have that knob turned, because remember, if it's not going through the computer, it's not going to go through the plugins that give you, distortion or whatever plugin you chose.
Right. Are you talking about the gain knob that's on here where I can adjust the levels?
No, it's not the gain knob. Let me just download this real quick.
All right.
Oh, I could do it right here in the forgot. All right, there it is, right here. Input, playback. Check to see where this knob is at. If you have it in input, yeah, you can blend them, which would give you both, or you put it completely to playback or completely to input. That should take care of the problem. Sure. Since I've got this open, I can show you guys real quick. You can see I've made it so you could just hover over, like, what's this knob do? Well, it shows you right there. Also, if you look here, well, where's the USB LED? Just hover over it and you'll see immediately up above, it shows you on the interface where it is, telling you that, yes, I've got USB connection. My interface is talking to my computer correctly. So any knob, anything on, jack or anything on the front panel or even on the back panel, this interactive guide will show you what everything is. All right, any other questions?
Yes, I have one.
Sure.
I have the 18i20, and for some reason my headset or the microphone's not really, well, there's no sound in the headset and the microphone's not really getting picked up.
Okay, I think I know what's wrong. The 18i20 gives you a lot of different features, and one of them is that it works standalone. Somehow, this guy has probably thinking that you want to work standalone. So the quickest way of taking care of that is you need to download, if you haven't already, is the Focusrite control software. That gives you full control over the 18i20. And in there, just go ahead and set it back to factory default. Setting it back to factory default, it's set up as an interface. Well, that'll take care of that problem. You'll get your headphones back. You'll also get any and all inputs capable to being interfaced with your Logic.
Okay, cool. So just set everything back to factory default and that should work.
Yeah, that'll take care of it. We see this quite a bit. It happens. It might even happen to you later. Sometimes it just hiccups or forgets what it is, and you're able to just set it back to the factory reset. Or even if you set up one of your own, because there's ways of saving and storing setups. The unit's actually very, very cool. If you start reading your instructions later, once you go through this class and everything, you'll start seeing how, holy cow, I can reroute anything and do anything there.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing to see how the control and everything else was on it. So now that I know that, thank you so much.
Oh, sure. All right. I see somebody just came in. No worries. We are actually live, and I'm recording this, so just so you know, it's going to end up in the archives. Right under, this is just to help him out later. You could go over to archived weekly training videos, and you'll be able to see everything you missed. So we haven't covered the first assignment yet, but we're basically going over all the basics and how you're going to, how this class will help you out. All right. Any other questions? Not really seeing anything else. I'm looking. Gina, you have. Let me see.
Can you repeat the name of the software we have to download for prevent the headphone problem?
Oh, it's Focusrite Control. Within the setting up your audio interface, when you download that interactive guide, it actually shows you there. It's a free software. It's from the Focusrite site. You can download it, set it up, and it'll control your interface completely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, Gina, I know you were patiently waiting.
Yes. Okay. I have a question concerning the ASSR. Alan something. Alan something.
Alan Parsons project, you mean?
The ASSR thing. It came with like a key card. that plugs into the USB and
yes. Okay, that's something extra that you get. I actually have one right here for you guys who wondering what the heck are we talking about.
I wasn't able to set it up because it's asking for the serial number, which when I tried to get the serial number, it was asking for Full Sail University's like code.
Okay.
Some kind of code.
Wow, I don't remember that happening with mine, but go ahead and call FSO. FSO support will be able to help you with that, because anything to do with codes or anything, they're the people to contact. Now, for everybody, great question. This little card is a USB card. Basically, you put it into your USB, and on it it's filled with videos and information from Alan Parsons. You may have heard of the Alan Parsons Project, artists, so forth, but a lot of recording tips, a lot of really good information on there for you guys.
Does that include like vocal training type of instruction?
Not really vocal. It's more so recording stuff, not vocal training stuff.
Yeah, because see, like me, the whole reason I'm in this class is because I want to be a Christian recording artist, and I know that it's what I'm meant to do, because I want to use the gift that God's given me to reach people for Him. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole thing that I know that when God's healing me, my condition I have is tied up with the singing. A lot into that, which I won't go into here. Mm-hmm. But it's what I'm meant to do, and I want, now that I'm out, I lived in nursing homes for the last 14 years, and now that I'm out in my own apartment and able to pursue this, I want to have the skill set to be able to do it on a professional level. So that's why I'm here.
Okay. So you're probably taking music production, right?
I'm taking music production, yeah.
You'll actually be taking classes later. This one's about getting started, how to use your equipment and so forth, which in music production, if you're going to be recording yourself and doing stuff, you'll need to know. But don't worry about it. You will have an actual recording vocals and vocal production class, I believe, is what it's called. It's one of the classes you'll be taking.
Yeah, I'd love to tell, one day I'd love to tell you guys, because my journey to get where I am, mm-hmm. It's been a wild ride.
Well, I can imagine. Mm-hmm.
It's been a wild ride, but I'm finally on my way. So everything in God's time,
Mm-hmm.
Because we always may think that he's running late, but the truth is, he's always right on time.
He's there for you when you need him. All right. Any other questions from anybody?
I had another question. Sorry.
Yes, Philip. No problem.
I noticed that you guys, Full Sail sent out the waves, and I got stuff like C1 and stuff like that. I've already got a larger file of waves. Do I have to stick in the parameters of the software you guys gave me?
Okay. With this class, because
I didn't want to send out like, let's say, I submit a project, right, that you have me post, and you can't read it because it doesn't have one of the software that you guys use.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say is with this class, because of that fact that if I don't own that same plugin, I unfortunately won't be able to open it, or it won't register the correct way for me.
Okay.
So stick to just the basic plugins that come with Logic.
Okay, perfect. Right? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Someone is asking, what's the difference between APBS, which is Audio Production Masters, and the MPBS, music production. Audio production's a little bit more in depth on recording and capturing sound and editing and all that type of stuff. And then music production, they go a little bit more in depth into actual music theory, where you're learning about chords and the circle of fifths and so forth. So those are the main differences. You could also just jump onto the fullcell.com site and just look at those two different descriptions. You'll get to hear or see more information about what the differences are. All right. If I've got no more questions...
I actually have a question.
Yes, Jarvis, go ahead.
Okay, I got everything set up as far as all my equipment and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Only problem I'm having is the only way I can hear anything through my studio headphones is if I plug it in the back of my interface box. When I plug it in the front of the interface box, I can't hear anything through.
Okay. Which unit are you using, the 2i4 or the 18i20?
I have the 18i20.
Okay, remember how earlier I was just talking to somebody who they were having problems with it as well, their headphones? All you need to do is, if you don't already have it, is download the Focusrite Control, which is the app that runs that interface. And you just reset everything back to factory preset, and everything will come back to you. And your interface will work with the headphone output and everything else.
So I'm supposed to download that from just off the website?
Yes, from Focusrite.
Okay. And it's called the Focusrite Control?
Correct. Mm-hmm. And it's free.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Just download it, and in the menu you'll see factory reset. Go ahead and hit that. It'll talk to your unit, reset it up, and everything will come back the way it should be as an interface.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, sure. All right. Any other questions? Nope. Okay. Let's go. Looks like somebody just posted the link for you guys to download the for the Scarlett 18i20. Thank you very much, Brent. So for you guys who don't have the Focusrite Control, just click on that link and you'll be able. It sends you right directly to it. All right, I am going to mute the mics again real quick. And let's cover week 1's assignments. All right, as you can see, for week 1, we technically have 3 assignments. The first one is just the quiz. The quiz, if you're wondering where we get the questions from, hey, I just started, I haven't even seen anything. Well, in the week 1 materials, check before our first lectures and so forth. In here, you'll see that we actually give you vocabulary words. We also give you a few different PDFs. The PDFs are from the campus class, but never know, it can give you a little bit of information that might help. Now, the quiz questions are all coming from just the vocabulary words. The vocabulary words are terms that you're going to be needing to know as audio engineers. So you're going to be hearing some of these things in, TS, TRS. Well, these are actually connector types, TT also. Now, where do you find what the definitions for these, words are? Well, we actually give you right here a glossary that'll help you. And also, you're more than welcome to, and it's a great habit to get into, is understanding really how to Google. Using Google will help you out a lot. One thing I will give you as something I've learned over the time, if you just type in the word audio, for instance, in front of whatever you want to find out, it's going to give you a better idea or a better answer as to how, or what you're looking. How does my mic is working? Sorry, Kevin. I will open up the mics in a second, but right now it's probably because I have it muted. So like I was saying, if you put audio in front of it, it's going to thin down the number of responses, in other words. So for instance, fader, well, there's different things that are faders. Frequency could be all kinds of different things, from TV frequencies to whatever, but if you put in audio frequencies, it's going to give you a better definition, especially when you start getting into these where it's just letters. TS, which is tip sleeve. But audio TS, your definition that'll pop up won't be train stations, for instance, or whatever TS could be. Well, good thing to remember is just type in word audio before it. Audio transducer, for instance. It'll give you microphones. It'll give you speakers. Those are audio transducers versus, you know, anything else that might be a transducer. So the quiz, come back over here. The quiz questions, you can see there's 15 questions. They are all coming from just that vocabulary that we give you each week. Quiz is due. If you just hover over, you can see it's due. For instance, this one's due in 1 day, 4 hours and 52 minutes. It's due Wednesday. Every Wednesday we have the quiz by 11:59 p.m. And it even tells you, if you're curious, how much weight it has. In other words, how much percentage of your final grade will this count towards? And it's 5%. The next thing you can see is after the quiz is, well, the audio file formats or data compression assignment. This one's due Thursday night. You'll notice that we have assignments due every Thursday and Sunday. So every single week, it's going to be the same thing. You'll always have a quiz, the Thursday assignment, and then the Sunday assignment. They're actually in week 4, you won't even have a quiz. That's the only time that it kind of changes a little bit. And you'll see we have Thursday for radio play, which is your final assignment, and then radio play part 2 is basically a discussion part about radio play, and that one's due by Friday the next day. But going back to what we need to do, let's try audio file formats. So that's our first real assignment. You're gonna have to start doing stuff. We've got most of our assignments set up this way. We actually give you a file to download. For instance, here is the audio file format logic session. So you'll see it says .logic afterwards. That's going to give you this right here. It'll download, and you're going to be using this logic session to actually do the assignment. So you need to download that. The other thing you'll notice is we actually give you instructions, you might say, for you in PDF, and you'll download those, and it'll kind of walk you through what you need to do for that. On this one, we've also, as you can see, some of the instructions are here. So what you need to do for this one is you're going to go ahead and first thing to do is download these things. So take them and then rename the logic session. So I'm going to grab this logic session to rename something. If you're not familiar with Mac stuff, if you just kind of click on it once, not double clicking it to open it, you'll see it pops up like this, and I can just now name this the way we want you to name it. This is to help you guys be able to locate stuff, as well as take care of having all the files with your names on them, so that way as you turn in stuff, your name's on there for me. So you'll notice the way we rename it is last name underscore first name underscore audio file formats. Well, it's already called audio file format, so all I need to do is put my name, so Rivers underscore Joseph underscore, and voila, I'm done. I've now renamed that file. Just click to the side and it automatically kind of saves it. That file's now renamed that. The instructions walk you through how to use logic. I mean, you'll notice some of these instructions for you guys who, you know, like, I'm sorry, I forgot, I think it was Philip or somebody who had been using logic for quite a few years. He'll already know a lot of this stuff, but for you guys who, the instructions are quite often written for somebody who's never used logic. So bear with us if you're like, I know how to hit play or whatever on logic. We walk you through showing you everything, so that way, you know, you don't fall behind if by chance you don't know how to use logic. So we explained to you how to solo a track, because you'll notice there's a lot of audio tracks in this session alone. And this session goes along with, right here, you're going to be reading an article called What Data Compression Does to Your Music. Now, this article, if you click on it, it opens it up right on SOS, a British magazine. It was so well written that we decided can't beat it. And the sheer fact that we've got the audio files for you, the article actually gives you, examples and says, hey, if you listen to audio file A compared to B, this is what's happening to the data. Because this whole article is covering what happens to your music once you've already mixed it. We need to save music into files. And there are so many files out there that people just don't really understand that it really matters what kind of file format you use. So if you save everything as an MP3, well, there's multiple types of MP3s, for instance, and we're going to show you what the differences are and how it changes your audio. So that's what this article is all about. It walks you through, shows you all this stuff, lets you hear the differences. Great way of, being interactive with the article itself and hearing what happens to your audio, because nothing worse than you've spent 5 hours, 10 hours, mixing this song, making it sound perfect in the studio. It sounds amazing. And then you save this thing as an MP3 and it happens to be at 32 kilobytes per second. And you send this out to the client and the client calls you up and says, what is this garbage? Because it changed it so much that, you guys will see what I mean. It will make the audio all swirly and all kinds of problems with it. It's all got to do with the size of the files. If you are mixing for, let's say, one of those, those cards, gift cards that you open up and it starts playing a little song, you've probably heard those. The audio does not sound that good. But it's a size thing. They need a file that is really tiny. So compressing at that data rate, yes, it makes it really tiny, but you lose a lot in that audio file. So you'll be learning all about that with this assignment. So just read through the article. The article points you towards the session. The session on there, just listen to the examples, just solo it, hit play, unsolo it, go to the next one, solo that one, unsolo it, after you've heard it. That way it mutes it, and you'll be able to listen to all the different examples that they give you. Now, after you've done that, we're going to have you really kind of make this really hit home and let you hear how much changes of these files can happen. And from this, you're going to create 4 files. At the very bottom, I've added, now this is our own, this is not referenced on the article, but this is a song that you're going to be mixing later on. This is a mix I did of that song for you guys. You'll hear what it sounds like, uncompressed, raw data, in other words, a very large file, but high quality. Listen to it this way, then you're going to be bouncing down, and the instructions show you how to bounce down audio files. You'll be bouncing down as 4 different formats: an MP3 at 32 kilobytes per second, an MP3 at 320 kilobytes per second, an AAC format at 16 and at 320. Now you'll see these show up as a .m4 A audio, in other words, file, and you'll be able to hear all the different compression formats. Now these are data compression. Don't get them mixed up with audio compression, which you'll be covering later. This is data compression. So you'll bounce those 4 down, then listen to them, and we're going to have you write a 200 or more word paragraph about what you heard as far as the differences of each one of those 4 data compressed files that you've created versus the original, which is right here on this track. So now that's a short little bit of the that song. You'll hear how much difference it is, especially when you guys actually play it from your laptop, because we are going through the portal for GoToTraining, and GoToTraining does its own compression. So you can imagine the audio that you're hearing right now isn't as perfect as it can be. But write that 200-word paragraph. You can put it into a Word document and just upload that as well. You'll be uploading the 4 audio files that you actually created. In other words, that MP3s and the M4As. As well as you'll be uploading your session. Now, I know I get this question every once in a while. Well, why do I need to upload the session? I haven't changed anything on it. I'm just sending it back to you. Again, this is all got to do with just teaching you good habits as far as data management. You're renaming it. It's almost like if you had done a mix on it, did stuff, then you're sending it back to, you know, your client. Your thing's already mixed or so forth. He wants the actual session. So again, it's just getting you used to good habits, renaming stuff, doing everything, and understanding how to do file management with your sessions. In here, you'll see there's a couple videos. I've actually got the audio file formats assignment. So if you want to go back and watch an earlier version of me explaining how to do this assignment, you'll be able to see it there. How to little video about bouncing down to MP3. This explains how to do that if you need to know, as well as, you know, again, this is all in the instructions in that PDF, but hey, I didn't quite understand the instructions. Let me view how to see it, or physically see how to do it. There's a video for that. And even how to save your Logic Pro X sessions. So saving the files and understanding how to use that feature. Now, one last thing. On the bottom of every single assignment, you'll notice we have this. And each one is different, of course. This is what we call the grading checklist. This is what each one of the instructors has. We have to go and view this to physically grade your assignments. So I decided to put it on every single one because this gives you guys a chance of verifying everything that we're looking for. Did I upload the 2 AAC formats files, the one at 16 and 32, 320 I mean? Yes. Okay. So when we check to see that, yes, you uploaded those 2 files, great, you got 20 points. Did I do the 2 MP3s? Yes, they're uploaded, great, that's another 20 points. Did I do my word paragraph? The 200-word paragraph? Yes, great, that's 40 points. Did I submit my Logic Pro session file? In other words, this is the Logic session file. It's basically this guy that we've opened, that we downloaded. So renamed and everything. So is it named? Last name underscore first name. In other words, your last name, your first name. Then audio file formats. That's another 20 points. Great. That means you got 100. Everything's done for you. You'll be able to just look at this and know what we are looking for. So the instructions tell you how to do the actual assignment. Then after you've done the assignment, you can look here and just verify that you're giving us all the data or information that we need to be able to give you guys feedback and, you know, give you a grade. Now, talking about feedback, I, myself, and the other instructors, we will always give you some sort of feedback, even if you did a perfect assignment of 100. We'll reiterate stuff about the assignment, help you, you know, hey, you did a great job on this, and here's a cool way that you could actually use that information for later. We give you tips, we give you all kinds of different things in the feedback. So whether you got 100 or not, I always recommend to you guys, go back and view the feedback. Each one of us will give you guys, you know, information that's going to be very helpful with your careers. Even if it's, hey, I see that you've done the MP3s a certain way, and a good habit, because you could run into this situation, is this. Go do that each time. One prime example of that is I have had people turn in an MP3 that is blank. It is, a minute and a half of dead audio. No audio whatsoever. It's just blank. So I always recommend you guys go, once you've bounced down the file, is go listen to the file. Make sure that that MP3 or that M4A audio file, or even if it's a WAV file, uncompressed, go listen to it. Make sure that you got everything correct in that file, because that's usually the formats that you could be sending off to the radio station, to the client to listen to the movie score people, whatever you're doing. You don't want to send them nothing, just a file that has absolutely nothing in it. You know, nothing more embarrassing than them having to call you and say, look, you sent me nothing. I need the real thing, and I need it now. You know, you're having to scramble quickly to, get them an actual copy. So go through and check your MP3s, check your whatever audio file it is once you've bounced down, just to verify that, yes, I got what I wanted. Not, oops, I accidentally left one track soloed and it only gave me that guitar sound, not the whole song. No, good habit. And these are things that we point out to you. We go and use this information that we get from you guys and give you guys feedback to help you truly get the concepts, as well as also if we see bad habits, we'll try to help you break those bad habits that'll help you within your career. A lot of the assignments, you'll also notice towards the end, after that grading checklist, we actually give you extra information. Like here, go to Logic Pro X Essential Trainings in lynda.com and watch the following segments. We break it down for you guys, so that way you could see, to do with the assignment, some of the things that you might need to see, versus you having to go to view the whole thing, which is actually something like 20 hours worth of videos. So this will break it down to, okay, well, you're going to be working with the interface. It's a 4-minute video. Great. I'll just go watch that one. I'll go watch this one. It's a 3-minute video. A lot less time. It's grabbed everything and centralized it for you guys as to what the assignment needs. We're pointing you towards extra information about it. If you really got into that article, some of you will, because it's fascinating. Never knew, as much as is out there. If you're doing your own songs and you want to get stuff on Apple iTunes, well, guess what? Apple has actually put together a great page about Apple iTunes mastering audio for Apple iTunes, because they use a special type of compression as well. So instead of sending them an MP3, then they compress it again. You're able to actually work with them, knowing what formats they need stuff in, and your songs, your audio will come out that much better. So great link for you guys, as far as if you're planning on putting stuff on Apple iTunes for sale. All right, that's the basis of the first assignment. Let me go ahead and open up the mics and let you guys ask me questions about it. Is there any questions you guys might have about that assignment?
You know what? That there are so many words out there. Like, you ever looked at the dictionary?
All right.
I had something to add. I wanted to touch bases for everybody else who may, be new to the concept. But if you're some people that might have the recording, that I noticed you have the cycle up, and that yellow bar. If anybody doesn't know, that's the cycle. I was going to, just kind of let them know that. If you have that on and it's not the full strip, you're only going to record what's inside that, or bounce what's inside that cycle, if you don't have it the full length of the track.
Yes, he's absolutely correct. Right here, you can see this is how you can make the song, keep looping around. You turn it on up here as well, and that cycles the song back and forth. But if for whatever reason I only have, let's say that's the whole song this length, but I only have that much highlighted, when I bounce it down, it will only bounce down this area right here. So he brings up a very good point. Usually we will point it out. You'll see about, you know, this explained later in one of the instructions, but if you want to have it, make sure you have your full project. You need to make sure that it's all selected there, or if it's off, a quick way is just selecting your audio file too. It'll bounce it from here to here.
Wow.
Any other questions?
I have a lot of questions.
Well, go ahead, Natalie. Ask.
A lot of my questions are just everything. So I will email you, but I have like a lot of questions. So
okay. If you feel it's gonna be easier through email, no worries. Email myself. Am I your instructor, or is it Ron or Pedro or somebody else?
I have no idea. I have to check and see.
All right. Well, whomever it is, we'll answer you. So don't worry about it. That's why we're here. You know, we want to make sure you guys get these concepts. So it's important to us. Being, you know, all of us have been out there for many, many years. I wish, you know, some engineers would have given me a lot more input. But definitely here at Full Sail, we'll give you a lot of input. It will help you out.
Sounds good.
So ask away or type away, and we'll get back to you. All right. Anybody else? Let's see. Trying to look through the chat window, see if any questions that I need to answer. No, I'm not really seeing anything. It looks like.
Oh, hello.
Yes. Yes, Barry.
I had a question. So basically, this assignment is just taking that last file, that last music file, and compressing in 4 different formats. Yes.
We compress it down to 4 different formats, listen to them, and then write that 200-word paragraph about the differences between the original compared to those, how each file sounds differently to the original.
Okay.
The article, I would recommend you guys going out and reading it and listening to it. It'll help you understand what's happening, because that's why we have you actually do the article, read the article, listen to the examples. It really makes it hit home where you could understand exactly what's happening, and this information is invaluable to you guys as engineers later on.
I do have a question.
Yes, Brian, I believe.
So, do we upload this in the FSO, the completion box?
Yes. Once you finish it, here, let me do one thing. I'm going to close this. You have to close the file. Otherwise, if you try to zip the file while the file is still open, Logic is still constantly saving to that file. It won't let you zip it. But I hit Control, come over here, compress it. It creates, as you can see, it's compressing it. All right. As you can see, it ended up right on the desktop also. There's a copy of it, but it's zipped. That's what I would take and drag. I unfortunately can't show you, but you'll be able to just drag that zip file right there, and it will upload it.
So that'll be 4 different zip files?
Excuse me. With the audio files, you don't really have to zip them. Only the Logic file. Now, here's one thing you could do. I can create, I should probably show you guys who don't know how to use this. If you hit down Control, just click on anywhere on the desktop, you can see it says New Folder. So I could create a new folder. I could put my zip file in there. I could put my audio files in there. And then I could take here, or I don't even need to zip it. probably should have even zipped it. Let me open it up just to show you guys. Move the trash. Okay, so inside of that folder is my Logic session, right? Pretend my audio files are in there as well, and my Word document. And then I can sit here and hit Control, compress, untitled. Well, I guess I should have named it first. I would have put my name on it. But you could zip the whole folder and then upload that whole folder. So if you guys feel like, you know, you want
to see you, sir, not the screen.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I was saying that I see you and not the screen.
Oh, hey guys, if that happens, I'm going to shut off my screen real quick and turn it back on. All right, are you guys able to see now?
Yeah.
All right, if that ever happens, please just tell me. So thank you very much. Sometimes the GoToMeeting, for whatever reason, can lock up. Never know. So yeah, so what I was saying is you could put everything inside of a folder and then zip that folder. Of course, I would named it, not just untitled folder, but name it your name. And then I could grab that whole zipped folder and upload it right to your completion. Anything you upload there will be your physically submitting files for that assignment. And if you have any questions on that assignment, just put it right into the feedback. Also, if for whatever reason you don't like working with Word, you can actually give me in the feedback the 200-word paragraph. Any other questions? Okay, I believe it's Brian or Brent. Your microphone is cutting in and out. That's where earlier I was talking. I don't know, maybe you weren't here, but let me show you in a screenshot. In your GoToTraining control panel, switch right here where it says audio. You may have to click on that to open it up, but switch it to built-in microphone.
You can see the screen.
Is that better?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, I was going through my interface.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I have a cliche question. Like, let's say somebody was like really busy and were rushing to get their assignment submitted by the due date or whatever at the time.
Mm-hmm.
If they only say sent 3 of the files instead of 4, but they had 4 done, but they did it by accident, would they lose points if they had to resubmit to submit the 4th file or whatever?
I've had this where just go ahead and submit it. You know, oops, I noticed I didn't have that 3rd file. Just submit it, even if it says late. No, because you originally did submit or started to submit the files on time. We won't dock any points. It's only when you know, turn in everything and it's already 2 days late or something like that.
Well, also, like, let's say, because, you know, the FSO will lock it, at that point, should you just, like, email your instructor and put it as an attachment, or?
With this class, I was saying that you can actually, we've got it set up so that way you can submit stuff late. So, no, it won't lock it for you. You'll still be able to upload it. It'll just say that it's late if you do turn in something late.
Okay, that's awesome.
So, each class, of course, is different. It all depends on the instructors. For this class, we've set it up so you could submit everything, you know, if need be, late, as well as also, you'll notice, let me go back to the main content. You'll notice everything has been opened up since day 1. So if you want to work ahead, you could actually go into the archives, watch the videos from last month, and start doing assignments now. I have had a couple students who...
That's extreme, buddy.
You know, if you've already, like somebody who's already used Logic for years and already knows this stuff somewhat, and you could work ahead at a faster pace, you could actually finish up everything in 2 weeks, let's say, instead of the 4 weeks. Have everything turned in. Just make sure you use that grading checklist at the end, and you know that is still stuck on your screensaver.
Everybody's saying they can't see.
Okay.
I'm not having any issues. I was on my iPhone earlier. I know I had to swipe left or right to switch the views, but I'm on my Mac.
Okay.
I have dual screens.
Are we good now?
Yeah, I can see you now.
Okay. So like I was saying is that if you use the archives, because we open up everything from day one for you guys to be able to see everything, you could work ahead. This is great for, especially if you're in the military or something like that, where sometimes you're told, okay, your 4th week, unfortunately, you're not going to be there. You're going to be out in the field, and there's no Wi-Fi, there's no nothing out there in the field. So I can work ahead, get my stuff turned in before, and not have to worry about any late points or anything else. It gives you a great way of managing your time too.
Okay, that's really good to know because I tend to get a lot of work than I expect to.
So try to work ahead as much as you can then. And I recommend the archived weekly trainings. Right there, you'll see last month's videos. You'll be able to, see every video that you need to for, heck, even the last week's assignments.
Yeah, I have actually another question that's kind of like off the wall, but
no worries.
Support. I was wondering if Aurelia and Musician take up a lot of space for storage because I downloaded a lot of stuff onto the new MacBook, and currently, like, I have probably like maybe 40 something gigs left. I think I have.
Wow.
Yeah, I have like 47 gigs because I have complete Ultimate. So I have like all NI's plugins and stuff like that, and
yeah.
Plus everything I downloaded for school. So like, I have an external where I'm gonna keep like my documents. And like
okay, I was just gonna recommend maybe an external for you because if you haven't downloaded the Logic stuff, for instance, all the essentials, that could be another. That's 45, 50 gigs on its own.
I have downloaded that. With the native stuff, it's 320 gigs, and then I downloaded all the sound packs from Logic and stuff. Cause I was using Logic before. And I have the Pro Tools. I have pretty much everything except those two, Aurelia and Musician. But I'm probably not going to need those till some later courses.
Correct.
But yeah, I was just curious about that because I don't want to swap out drives because then that avoid the Apple Care.
Yeah, as far as internal drives, well, these days it's even harder to do it. You have to send it to them. Everything's soldered onto the board versus connectors as it used to be.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. The new Macs.
I used to have it. I had a MacBook 2015. I had purchased in 2016, and when I went to the Apple store, they're like, "Oh, just transfer all your VSTs and stuff onto the external." And when I did that, it was taking like so long to load certain plugins that I had not used before, so because they had to like route it to the path or whatever.
Yeah.
So like it was really annoying. But like with this, now that it's on the actual drive internally, everything's loading up in like 2 seconds, which is great.
Yeah, you also have a solid state drive too in your new Macintoshes, which makes it very fast.
Yeah, it's not spinning; it's like right there. It's
correct.
So that's pretty much it, though. I was just curious about the gigs that Musician and Aurelia would add on to that because I'm running out of space, man.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not sure. I haven't used those programs, and they don't, unless I need it for my class, they don't give it to me. It's like I'm envious of you guys. Unfortunately, they don't even give me Waves. I wish I had the whole Waves set up. I have it on my own personal, but I'd love to have it in my work laptop.
It's not really that much. I bought the Platinum bundle a while back, and like now they want me to like repay. I don't get it. I had a full license. It doesn't make any sense the way they're doing this new like technology thing where you have to have a subscription and all this.
Yeah.
In the past, it wasn't like that before.
I hear you.
But yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna let some other people ask.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a question too.
Yes, Kevin.
As far as the acoustic setup and being in a room, how would that work out? As far as me giving feedback on, the part about training our ears and all that stuff. Because like I'm kind of set up in an open room. It's not closed off.
Well, go watch those videos. Is the best thing I could recommend for you guys. You'll get an idea of what's in a room that can change stuff and the problems that rooms have. Like for instance, standing waves are a big problem. They change how your sound will sound in that room, and the simplest thing I've always told everybody, let's say you can't afford to even do anything. You can at least understand these things are happening. Listen to your favorite songs on whatever speakers you've chosen, or even your headphones, and get used to what your song sounds like in that room. So that way, whenever you do any kind of mixing, you try to emulate the same things. In other words, let's say the bottom end on every single one of your songs seems to be boosted. And that's because of a standing wave inside your room. So then when you mix, you want to make it so that the bass is about the same level as your favorite songs. Otherwise, when you walk away from that room with your mix and you listen to it in another room, all of a sudden the bass is gone. Because it was boosted in that first room and you brought it down thinking, oh, it's too loud. Well, understanding what's happening in your room is pretty important. So you could either train yourself to get used to what your room sounds like, or fix your room to make it more neutral.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was having the mic issue. I didn't know whether to do it from the built-in microphone or from the interface. So I guess I'm talking through my laptop mic right now.
Probably yes. Yes, you are.
Okay. So why won't it work through the interface?
That's got to do with GoTo Training. Their their software it seems to cut. It says it's supposed to, but it cuts in and out the audio for whatever weird reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering if I had everything set up right.
Yeah. No worries.
All right,
just GoTo Training.
Okay, appreciate it.
Sure. All right, guys. Is there anything else with this assignment? If not, let's go talk about the next assignment, which is actually talking about acoustics, in fact. Okay, no questions. So let me go ahead and cover the next one. As you can see, on Sunday, you're going to have the Describe Your Acoustic Environment assignment. This assignment is getting you to understand everything from the acoustics in your room and how your room sounds and how important it is understanding, because you could actually just put a microphone. It could be that $1,000 microphone, $10,000 microphone. If you don't have it in the right room, your $10,000 microphone can sound horrible. So understanding the acoustics and how your acoustics in your room change what you hear as far as or record through a microphone is pretty important. You could use your acoustics to your advantage, or you could use them, unfortunately it becomes a disadvantage because it makes, let's say, too much reverb in your recordings and you can't use that in your song. So we're going to have you with this assignment. You're going to learn about acoustics. You're also going to be setting up your hardware. So if this is the first time you've used a microphone and first time you've recorded, congratulations. You're going to get started. This is the first class you actually get to physically start playing with some gear now. So you'll be setting up your hardware and your computer to record. You're going to understand the effects of reflections, in other words, reverb. So you have early reflections, secondary reflections, and so forth. You'll start understanding what we mean by that. We're going to get to hear these things. And then a very, very important part of any engineering is gain staging. Gain staging is, I can't stress this enough, is very important in all your recordings because it gives you a lot cleaner audio, as well as also you could use these tools like compression, EQ, and everything else a lot better. Gain staging is very important. We'll explain more in depth with this guy, as well as you'll hear us talking about gain staging throughout all your different assignments and everything that you're physically recording or even mixing. And of course you are using a DAW, so digital audio workstation, so you're going to be doing digital recording. You'll be using Logic to physically record. So for this project, you're going to create a new session, so a new project, name it your last name, your first name, and then RPR Acoustics. You're going to make sure that you've got your microphone plugged in, and let's show you that. here's a picture of the 18i20. You'll see it's basically the same thing for the 2i4. You'll have inputs on it. This connector, in fact, let me show you that. That connector is a special type of connector. It's called a combo jack. It can handle 3 types of connectors. A 1/4-inch TRS, which is tip ring sleeve connector. A 1/4-inch TS, which is tip sleeve. So this is a balanced cable, or this is an unbalanced cable, like a guitar cable or instrument cable. This could be a microphone cable. Or you could also have an XLR, which is also a microphone or Pro Audio +4 signal type connector. So that single combo connector can handle multiple types. Instead of having to be 3 different connections, one single connector will handle any of those connectors. So you'll make sure you're plugged into the input number 1 on your interface, just so that you know extra stuff too. Of course, your XLR cable. So your microphone, you'll have the XLR cable connects to the back of it. This is, as you can see, it's the female XLR, and then this is the male XLR connector. They interface together. On the microphone itself, you'll be needing the female XLR. And I know this is kind of basic, but we've actually had students who contacted us say, hey, I can't make the connector, which was this one, plug into the microphone. And then we ask them, and we find out that they just need to flip the cable, because the cable has one female, one male side to it. And then they're able to interface to their microphone. So you'll be using your XLR, connecting it to input number 1. You're going to create 2 mono tracks. We're going to name them. Before we even start recording, we're going to name them. Vox 1, Vox 2. Set the input for both those, for Vox 1 and Vox 2, as input number 1. And I'll show you in Logic in a second. And make sure that all track outputs are set to stereo. So right here we even have a screenshot. I can show you how to make sure also that your input is mono. So just clicking on this, if you see 2 rings, it's stereo. Single ring, it's mono. Now, being that we're only using 1 microphone, we need a mono, because otherwise, if you set it up as a stereo track, it's looking for 2 inputs. You only have 1 mic. So it's going to show up on only the left side. You would need a secondary mic set up to input number 2 if you wanted to have a stereo recording. So we point that out to you just so you start understanding, which way you need to record if you're doing it one single mic is mono. Now, what you're going to record is you're going to go and record your voice. We're going to have you go to 2 different rooms in your house. Now, why are we doing this? Well, we are wanting you to hear how different rooms will sound. So go into one room. I'm going to pick 2 very distinct and different sounding rooms. If you go into your bathroom and you hit record, you start speaking, you're going to hear, once you play back, you're going to hear things like reverb and different things happening within that room, and you're going to hear how your voice sounds. Then go to, let's say, if you have a walk-in closet, and record in a second room, the walk-in closet. You're going to hear it's going to be very dry. It's going to be clearer, no reverb. The clothing absorb, a lot of that, those early reflections. In other words, that reverb. So how do you go and choose those rooms? Well, a good way is something we call the clap test. The clap test is you could walk into any room and just a single clap. You guys will probably be able to hear this room, for instance. When I clap, we could start hearing instantly the reflections. So we hear the direct sound, which is coming from my hands clapping, physically clapping, and then the sound bouncing off a wall and coming back to our ears a second time. That's our first reflection. The second reflection might be as it goes to a farther wall and then comes towards me. all of these rooms will sound different to you. Do you move the equipment into those two rooms? Yes, it's simple. Or if you've got extra long mic cable, you can also just leave your laptop in one room, use your focus. The app for Logic Control to be able to start and stop recording if you wish. So yes, you will need to move at least your microphone and yourself into those rooms. I know I always get asked also if you're in dorms or something like that where it's one single, efficiency, one single room. Well, then try to do two different things, like go into a corner, talk into the corner. You're facing the corner. You'll hear early reflections and so forth, and turn around and face or go into the center of the room, and you'll actually be able to hear those different spots within the room, how much it does change your voice. It won't be as drastic as, for instance, the bathroom and the walk-in closet, but you will hear a difference. So that's what you're basically going to be doing. And when you go and record in these rooms, we require you to record at least 45 seconds. So 45 seconds within each room. And what you're going to be saying is you're going to be describing how the room sounds. So I would walk into a room, do a simple clap away from the microphone, of course, because otherwise you're going to peak, and I'll be explaining, clipping and peaking in a second. But you clap away from the microphone, you listen, and then explain to me what you hear. I'm hearing instantly early reflections. I hear, wow, I could hear delay. I can hear how it sounds very tinny for whatever reason. Just explain how the acoustics in your room sound like. And for each room. Once you've done that, you're going to go into the second room and do the exact same thing. Now, you're going to have two different tracks to record this onto. See, like Vox 1, Vox 2. This is what your project's going to end up like. Once you've recorded those 45 seconds and another 45 seconds, totaling 90, you'll be bouncing this down. Now, what you're going to be turning in, and I'll walk you through the project also, but what you need to turn in is your correctly named Logic session with your audio files that you've just recorded, those two. An MP3 also of, a bounce down of your session. And then lastly, a screenshot that you would take at the end of the assignment. And right here, that's a screenshot. We took one of a session that I did just to be able to show you guys what it would look like. So screenshot that's going to show you the mixer section as well as also the audio files. If you don't know how to do a screenshot, of course the assignment walks you through as well and shows you how to create a screenshots. But real simple. If you hold down Shift, hold down Command, hit 3, that takes a screenshot of everything that is on your physical screen. You don't need a camera or anything to take a picture. The computer will do it on its own. So Shift Command 3 does that. Shift Command 4 gives you, as you guys can see, these crosshairs. And now I could go and just click, drag over the area that I want to be the screenshot. Release. You heard the little shutter sound. And on my desktop pops up. Let me bring it up here. You can see it's the exact same thing I just selected. So that's my screenshot. So real simple how to do screenshots. Shift Command 3 for the holes, everything that's on your screen, or Shift Command 4, click and drag over the area that you want. Those are the things we're going to have you guys turn in. Just those 3 files: the Logic session file, the MP3, and the screenshot. Here's a video explaining the exact same thing I'm actually explaining to you right now. Little detail, things that maybe I didn't cover right now, or vice versa. I'm covering something I didn't do it last time. But sometimes it's good to watch a different version. The grading checklist, you'll see what we're looking for. We make sure that you have the logic session. We can actually look in your logic session that you set up the input to be number 1 on your interface. I can see that your vocal tracks, you name them Vox 1, Vox 2. And again, the naming before you record is very important, because if I just record it and then go back and name it, my audio files will be named track 1 or audio 1, audio 2, instead of actually Vox, meaning that's just a short way of doing vocal. So naming everything before you start recording, as far as the tracks, very helpful, because then your audio files will be saved. The individual audio files will be saved as that track's name. We make sure that you have 45 seconds at least of Vox 1, 45 seconds of Vox 2. Gain staging, which I'm going to go more in depth in just a second. Make sure your gain staging is correct. Your proper assessment of your acoustic environment. In other words, did you explain what's happening in the room acoustically? What we don't want to hear is stuff like, well, I'm sitting here and my dog's on my lap, and well, we're just hanging out, and I've got green carpet and 2 doorways into this room. I don't want a description of what's in the room. I want a description of what's happening to the audio in the room as you are speaking. You're hearing reverb, you're hearing delay, you're hearing whatever it might be. I hear that the reflections seem to be very bright, or I hear the reflections being dark. These type of things. Then, did you bounce down the audio file? You'll notice, since this is just voice, we only asking for 128 kilobytes per second for that one. As you read that article, you understand why I'm saying, since it's only voice, why did I choose 128? Next thing, the screenshot. Did you upload the screenshot? What we don't want you to do is add effects or anything else. You'll get to the spot where we're actually having you do effects and everything else and any processing. But for right now, it's the first assignment you're recording. All we want you to do is physically record your voice and making sure that you've got good levels. So, talking about levels, let's go ahead and try this out. I'm going to now close this. I'm going to go to Logic, create new. You can see it pops up with this first number of tracks. Well, I know I'm using 2, Vox 1, Vox 2, so I go ahead and tell 2, hit create. Just so you know, right now I'm not looking at the mixer window. I can see an individual fader here on the side, but if I want the mixer window right here, mixer, click on that, or I can open up as a separate window. Just go to Windows, and you'll see you could open up all kinds of different windows, but right here, open mixer. That'll physically open up a separate window that's just the mixer. So if you're using 2 screens, dual screens, this is where it's kind of cool. You can use one to have the mixer and one to do the actual audio editing. But first thing I do, of course, name. So you double click to open it up, change it to Vox 1. I can hit return, it just closes it up. Click on the second one, Vox 2. So now I've renamed those. I'm ready to go. With one exception, I want to set up levels. This is where gain staging comes into play. Let me close this a little, or shrink it down a bit so you guys can see me. I've got an interface, a little one here. Unfortunately, it's not the same ones that you guys have, but it still will show you everything what we need to know. So you've got your microphone connected to your interface. So right here, you guys can see this one's actually a PreSonus one. So I would have it just like on yours, plugged into number 1, and you have a gain knob, one for each one of these inputs. The gain knob is where we're going to be setting up levels. Now, level-wise, Here, I'm gonna go right here, and you can see in the mixer box 1. You can see it over here on the side. You can close this up too, just to make some more space. That shows you that channel strip, you might say, from the mixer. So as I speak, you guys can see my voice is bouncing between -18 and that -6. So anything below 0 is a minus. With a digital, this is a dB. This is FS. So in other words, dB full scale. Not, hugely important right now, but understanding that this is dB FS later can be very important. It only goes to 0 because what the computer is looking at is dynamic range of your signal. So this is the volume coming into your physical laptop, going through your interface. You set up your gain staging. If I'm way down here, well, that's close to my noise floor. As I'm going to be quiet for 1 second and just watch to see my noise floor area. In other words, I'm not going to be speaking, but I'm still going to see levels. So any room will have a noise floor. Okay, so as you saw, it's between that -45 and -40. That's because it's air conditioner noise. That's any noise coming from the outside, just room noise. It's natural room noise. My voice, my voice is, let's say, at 35, that's only about 5 dB of dynamic range. So when let's say I recorded my voice way too low, I play it back. Well, I need to bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. Well, guess what also comes up? That noise floor. So this is why it's so important. We always want to get a good level or nice dynamic range between the noise floor, whatever it might be of your room, and you don't want to go up to that 0, in other words, where it peaks. I don't want to see red ever. If it clips, that's what peaking or clipping means, is the computer can no longer digitize anything above that point, and it just zeroes it out. So it clips off part of the waveform which is your audio. This gives you digital distortion, which is horrible. It can ruin a vocal. You'll hear cracking and stuff like that. It'll ruin anything, actually. It's not only your vocals, but anything you record. So the range that is recommended is that -6 to -18 range. There, as you saw, I had plenty of dynamic range between the noise floor, which we said was around that -45, and the top range. Now, why don't I just go towards closest to 0? Well, this is giving you a buffer. That using the -6 is kind of being your top point. It gives you a buffer, so that way if I do accidentally get a little too loud, I still have, while I'm recording, this much headroom. The area between that -6 and 0 is 6 dB of headroom, what they call. So if I am singing and all of a sudden I hit a harder note, I didn't clip. You can see it brought it up, got pretty close to 0, but it didn't clip. So my recording is still good. If I was clipping, I might as well just hit stop and go back and start recording again, because then I've ruined my audio. My recording of my vocal will not give you any usable vocal there if I'm distorted the whole way. For need space and headroom for everything else. I'm not sure what Phil's pointing out, but I'll open up the mics in a minute and find out. So basically that headroom gives you plenty of space, so that way if the singer gets louder, you will still capture a good vocal without having any distortion on that vocal. Later we could use our tools like compression, EQing, gating, and other tools to help that vocal out even more to make it sound radio ready, you might say. So this is so important. We want to make sure that that level is there. Now, there's two ways of viewing this level. Right now, as you can see, hey, I brought down that fader, yet the level's still up there. That's because I've got this monitoring in what they call pre-fader. So under mix, I could select pre-fader. That shows me what's coming from the interface. In my case, it's just I have a blue Snowball microphone that's connected USB directly to the laptop. I'm not going through an interface, but it sets it up so I could see what's coming out of the Snowball, or you could see what's coming out from your interface into your laptop. If you unselect that, you can see you saw how the meter just jumped from one side to the other. This tells me this is in post fader. In other words, this fader is controlling. As you can see, I'm bringing it down. Well, my vocals now has gone down. But when I am physically recording, it doesn't have any kind of real effect because the input's coming in before that fader. So many times it's a good idea to put your mix pre-fader metering on, so that way you could see what's happening first. I could capture the vocal. This will only help as far as me monitoring it. In other words, will it be louder? Will it be softer? But I don't care about this level as much as I am worried about that pre-fader level, making sure I've got good levels for recording. So this works for everything, whether you're recording drums, a guitar, a vocal, or keyboards. No matter what, you always want to be within that range. That's a good range to be, that -6, -18. This will also come, it's very important, it'll come into play later with compression and gating. That dynamic range is what your compressors and your gates work off of. This pre-fader metering also later when you get into EQing is going to be very important, because you want to see as the signal goes into each one of these audio effects on that channel, you are boosting or cutting levels. So again, I don't want to clip. I can take the whole EQ's output and bring it down if I need to, or whatever. I'll show you that later when we get into EQing on one of the assignments. But just to point out, your gain staging is very, very important. Probably the most important thing of recording. Proper gain staging gives you good mixes because they're going to be clean, clear. You'll be able to have plenty of dynamic range for your effects to work correctly the way they were designed. And it could make night and day differences in your mix. If everything was recorded really low down here, like we were saying earlier, then think about it. I might have 30 tracks sitting here. Every one of them I had to boost. That means I've got the room noise from 30 different recordings being brought up louder in your mix. Your whole mix is going to be a lot noisier than what you hear as far as these really nice mixes that are on the radio. So this is where the engineers, what really makes a huge difference between a seasoned, knowledgeable engineer and just somebody amateur recording something in their home who's never really understood or knows about gain staging, how important it is. So that's the main thing I want to stress with that. As far as recording, once you've set up that gain staging, you set up your levels for each room. Each time you go to a different location or a different person or a different instrument, you're going to have to reset gain staging. And remember, it's on the interface. You set your gain on your physical interface. Once you've done that, you're ready to record. Oh, let me point out one other thing that I know. I just had a question from somebody who was having problems from last month. On their interface, you actually have something called a pad. The pad button brings down the level, the input level. So if you're having a problem where you keep bringing it up and it just won't go up high enough, check to see if you have that pad engaged. If you do, that means your signal level is brought down minus 20 dB, and that's designed for something that's being recorded that's very loud. Let's say you're recording a Marshall stack, which is a big, huge guitar amp that's very, very loud. Well, that loudness will translate over to those microphones, and you're going to be constantly clipping. Well, then add the pad. It'll bring it down to where the level is more manageable, where you won't clip at all. But in this case, if you have it engaged, you won't get enough level for vocal. The other thing is, for you guys who are using the 18i20, you have condenser microphones. Your condenser microphones require phantom power. There's a button on the front of your interface that says 48V, in other words 48 volts. That's phantom power that is required to be sent to those microphones so that they work. If you have a dynamic microphone, you don't have to worry. It will work without that phantom power. If you accidentally hit the phantom power, no worries. Your dynamic microphones, the way they're designed, it's not going to affect anything. But phantom power is required with condenser microphones. Understanding how to use your microphone is also important. That's where I've made this guy, your microphone polar patterns. Let me go
0
over.
degrees.
So whenever you have a condenser microphone, you'll see a logo. Whatever the company's logo is, that's the front side of the microphone. And depending on what type of microphone it is, you might have different polar patterns or even switchable. Depends how fancy the microphone is. But you'll notice that your polar pattern is the area where your microphone picks up. So from behind the microphone, if you have it in this one, the cardioid pattern, for instance, well, it's going to be a lot lower because the back side of the microphone, it's designed to reject audio. It only wants to record audio from in front of the microphone. So whatever you're recording vocals or anything, always make sure that singer or yourself is facing the logo. If you have a dynamic microphone, which is like the handheld microphones, of course, I don't have one here right now, but of course, just you speak into the top side of the microphone. That's where the cardioid pattern starts. So like this little picture, you can see it, like a handheld microphone. You would talk into the top side of that microphone. The interactive guide will show you how
45 degrees.
This is listening to the microphone at 45 degrees, and you can see 45 is about here. So I'm still capturing everything.
90 degrees.
90 degrees, you can see the volume went down a bit. And also the frequency response will change.
135 degrees.
So you hear that 135. That's how much drop in volume you got. Listen to it once we hit the 180.
180 degrees.
You can see how my voice is a lot darker, and it's also a lot softer. So the microphone's looking for audio from the other side, not from this side. Now, cardioid pattern is probably the most common that you will see out there. Hypercardioid is used a lot like on stage and everything. Omnidirectional is
0 degrees.
In the studio. You can see omnidirectional picks up all around. This is good for if you're recording two people, for instance. You can put a microphone into omnidirectional or bidirectional.
0 degrees.
Notice it picks up on the front and back and kind of doesn't pick on the sides. So this is a good pattern, for instance, if you're doing an interview or recording two people singing at once and you want to use only one mic. You can put it in bidirectional mode, have one person on one side of the mic, the other person on the other side. So real nice, the polar patterns thing here that I put together, it really helps you understand all the different polar patterns that are out there on microphones. But once you've got your mic set up and everything, you're going to record. How do you record? Well, you select like Vox 1 is where I want to record. I record ready the track. I could do it here or on the channel strips. Just click on the R. That's what the R is for, is record. One other point that's good for you guys is if you don't really know what is this, what is that, well, there's a question mark. Click on that, and anything you hover over, it tells you what we're looking at. Like that's a pan pot, a pan or balance knob. Right here, your output slot selects what output you're going to. You know, automation, your everything. It tells you, okay, this is the volume fader. I'm gonna turn that off, but you guys can see how it literally will help you guys out for learning logic. It becomes annoying after a little while, but for starting off, why not? You can, you know, turn it on. That way, it shows you what does each knob do within Logic. So I was saying to record. I've got this recording, record ready. I mean, I've got my levels, so my gain staging is done correctly. I can have this at 0. Just so I hear it just as loud as I physically am recording it. And all I need to do is come over here to this red dot, hit record, and you guys could hear that metronome and everything. You could also see my voice. I'm gonna hit stop real quick, undo that, Apple Z, or I should say Command Z. If you don't want the click or the count off, you just click on these guys. So I took the count off, I took off the metronome. So now when I hit record, it only, there we go. It lets me record without hearing this click, 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 click. That could be annoying if you aren't following a metronome. If you're following a metronome for recording, then very useful. Drummers definitely love metronomes because it helps keep the beat. So once I've finished recording, I've just recorded my stuff. I could see my recording is there. It's called Vox 1. Second take, in fact, to, you know, memorize that I tried once before. So that's what the numbers is basically telling you. It's which track and which take number it is. The single circle here tells me that it's a mono file. If I have it in stereo, then it would be, well, this microphone, because it's USB, it just feeds both inputs. But if you had on your interface, you would only see signal on the left side versus the right side. So you want to make sure that that stays on mono, since you're recording one single microphone. Then, of course, you're going to record this in room number 1, which you guys get to choose which room you want. Go around your house, clap in each room, listen to the rooms, and find two rooms that actually sound quite different to you. And you're going to do the 2 recordings. Now, if I just start recording again for the second track, come over here, record, it's going to put it right on top of each other. That means I'm going to be listening to my old vocal. I don't really want that. So what I could do is I can move my cursor to a new spot, or I could even, the cycle that we were talking about earlier, set it up at a new spot. And now I can physically hit record. Let me make sure I'm on track number 2. Yes, my levels should be the same since I've got the same input. Sure enough, here we go. And you can see it started recording now from the end of that first Vox 1. So pretty important, otherwise when you hit play, you're going to hear 2 vocals stepping all over each other. I can use the space bar to stop. That's a quick way of start stopping. And you'll be able to start getting used to all the controls and everything. Return, as you can see, puts me right back to the beginning. Spacebar, it only there we go. It lets me record without hearing this click, 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 click. Oh, there you could hear I was talking about the metronome. But we'll be bouncing this down. So, like Phil said, make sure you have this. If you are using the cycle, it shows the whole thing, and you could scroll across. Like, yeah, it's too long. I could shorten it. There we go. Now when I bounce it down, it'll have both audio files. these controls here help you zoom in and out. Okay, that's one direction, and this direction. So you're able to zoom in and out your tracks to be able to visualize to see what you're doing a little bit better. All right, looking through the chat window, see if there's anything on here. I see something people talking about EQ and de-esser. We'll actually cover those later, but for this assignment, don't worry about any EQs, any compressors, anything. All we're doing is just listening to those vocals. And you heard, just from the playback, you could actually hear the room noise, and you heard also the my vocal and the reverb. So these are the things that we want you to really listen to and hear the differences between the two. Let me open up the mics as I basically have finished. Of course, you're going to save this and so forth. All right. I'm going to mute some mics. Too much background noise. All right. So, any questions for me?
Sound like he was making a beat.
Hi.
Hi, Gina.
Okay. You know how some rooms have great acoustics without microphone or anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my apartment just so happens, like when I sing in here, always it sounds like a lot better than like if I'm like singing outside. Do you think that will help? Sound of the microphone or hurt?
Well, here's the thing you have to think about. Let's say the amount of reverb that is in that recording, will it work with your song? Because remember, anything that is recorded, I can't remove the reverb later. It's actually better, in most cases, to record very dry vocal. So that way, when you play it back, you could listen to it, you could hear it, you could edit it, do everything you need to, and then add your own reverb. You'll use a plugin to duplicate that room, or even make it Carnegie Hall if you want. You'll make it work better for that song. If you guys, all right. Let me point out one thing. We gave you guys some lynda.com videos to watch, if to give you a little bit more input on microphone setups and everything, hearing the difference between the patterns and everything else. But right here, besides the microphone polar pattern Swift file that the Flash file that I created for you, I give you this one, which is the Reverb Killer box. Now, the Reverb Killer box, I had a student kind of challenge me and said, well, there's these things that I could buy for the back of the microphone that are about $300, and I knew exactly what he was talking about, that kills the early reflections. And I told him, well, yes, if you've got $300, sure, why not? Go ahead and get it. It will help 100%. They will make a huge difference. But I told him, honestly, you understand acoustics and you understand what's happening with sound. I bet you could probably create that for a lot cheaper. And he says, oh, how cheap? And I told him, well, I thought about it and I said, for free. And he looked at me like I was crazy, but then I explained. You could go, and I put this together for the rest of you guys, for any students that want to try this, is to record a dry vocal. That's what we call it. In other words, no reflections. All I need to do is go get a cardboard box, and I tell them you could get it at Walmart. They're throwing away boxes. If you show up late, around 11, they're unboxing stuff, and they're going to throw these boxes away. They'll gladly give them to you. I grabbed the box that was 24 by 24 by 24. That worked amazing. It was perfect size. It was big enough to hold a small microphone stand and put the microphone inside. Then I just fold over the three sides. The bottom side, I cut it off. So now I have basically a little box. And on the inside, I grabbed I told them you could get the bubble wrap that's in some of these packing that they're using, or you could use the foam. If you get foam, it's even better, easier to work with. Wrap basically the top side, all 3 insides. The bottom, I leave it without it only because of, the microphone stand's going to sit on there. Then afterwards, I grab a towel, bathroom towel, put it inside, all the sides, grab my microphone. So that basically this is what's happening. You have cardboard, you have the foam, then you have your bath towel. You put your microphone inside, and your microphone being inside of this box, when you speak into the box, you only get the direct signal from from you. The reflections are absorbed into the towel and the foam. So this gives me a very dry vocal, and then later I can EQ it and add some reverb, and the thing could sound like I'm singing in Carnegie Hall. Wherever you decide. You could make these room reverbs that are amazing. So I could really choose what fits my mix best. And this, it looks very cheesy, but if you're getting started, it works perfect. Later, as you make money already on clients and stuff, then sure, get the nice, either build your own vocal booth or go ahead and get that reverb reflection killer thing. I forget what it was called exactly, but this simple little box that costs you nothing will do the exact same thing.
One of the videos that you posted as helpful on one of the reading things was this guy made something similar, but he used foam, and he called it a cone of silence.
Oh, yes. We found that afterwards and we added it. We thought it was kind of cute.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and something like that, something as simple as that will help, because what it does is it stops those first reflections from hitting your microphone. We get something called comb filtering happening whenever the voice that's direct hits the microphone, and then you get a bounce coming back that's hitting the microphone at the same time, but they're out of what they call phase with each other. In other words, there's different time. It takes a shorter time for my direct voice to hit the microphone than it does the one that's bouncing off the wall to come back. And that phase cancels out certain frequencies within the recording. So you get comb filtering happening, and that's why your voice sounds different in different rooms. So with something like this,
whatever you do, don't confuse your cone of silence for your dog's cone of shame.
Yeah, well, you could probably use one. Just put foam on the inside, and that'll become a cone of silence.
I just had to go there with that joke.
No worries. I'm pretty cheesy myself, so no worries.
Have you ever seen the movie Up?
Yes, I love Pixar stuff.
That's where I got the cone of shame thing from, because the dog in that considers it so shameful that he has to wear that cone.
Yeah, Doug. I remember the movie. I've seen it multiple times. It's a great movie.
Good movie. But most of the Pixar movies are really funny.
Yeah, I'm a big Pixar fan. Disney and Pixar, I love them both.
Me too. I love anything Disney. I actually wanted the next 2 shows that I want to go see on Broadway are Anastasia, which I know technically that's not a Disney movie, although since Disney acquired Fox, it could be considered that.
Yeah.
And the other one I want to go see is Frozen.
Well, enjoy them. You probably will. I saw someone.
I had a couple of questions.
Yes, Mike.
I'm really close to the city.
Great, Gina.
My question was that I was wondering how far exactly, like away from my microphone, should I be recording?
Oh, good question. All right. I forgot to point that out. For this assignment, we actually want you to have a little space. Let's say 6 to 12 inches away. That way I could hear, or you could hear, those early reflections in your recording more. Because, for instance, if you have a dynamic microphone, it's designed to try to kill out those early reflections and stuff. It's supposed to stop feedback from happening up on stage is really what it is. But nevertheless, that's what we ask you to pull it away a little while. Normally, you want to have that microphone as close as possible. You know, you'll see singers, literally, it's like an inch away from their mouth when they're singing into a microphone. With condenser microphones, same type of thing. They're only a couple inches away. But for this assignment, you can pull it a little farther away. Not something you would normally do in a recording. This is just for this situation because we want you to hear how the room really affects it. And it just emphasizes it more when you do that, when you have it pulled away from you.
Thank you.
Sure.
My second question was, I noticed you were talking about the pad button on the audio interface before. What does the instrument button do right next to it?
Okay. The instrument button will be, you can engage it if you have, if you're hooked up to a, let's say, guitar versus a microphone. You're changing the impedance of the input. Okay, so you, if you look up on the instructions and stuff, you can see how they tell you, okay, you should have the instrument plugged in when you're recording at these levels or this type of instrument versus a microphone. You'll have different modes. It changes the frequency response of your recording depending on which way you have that button pushed in. So what I'm speaking about is, like, if you want to record a guitar, you can plug your guitar without going into an amplifier directly into your interface, but you'd want to have that button selected correctly so that way the impedance changes and gives you a good recording of your guitar versus the impedance being off, and it's not going to sound the same way that it does coming out of the amp.
How would you connect a guitar to the audio interface? Because I noticed there's the XLR inputs, MIDI inputs, and the TRS inputs or outputs.
Well,
but
here, I explained it a little earlier. Maybe you missed it. On the front.
Sorry, I had to step away.
No worries. On the front of your interface, you have this thing called a combo jack. That combo jack is actually designed to be able to handle TRS, TS, and XLR. So it's a very cool way of making everything compact into one single connector that can interface with all these 3 different types of connectors.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, that was it. Thank you for answering my question.
Sure. I see Gina's actually, should we get a pop filter? Pop filters are really good, and it really depends on your singer or if you are singing and so forth. Pro singers have been taught, you know, through vocal training and everything, to know that whenever they have a word with a P or a B, they're actually pushing a lot of air forward. And if they're right up against that microphone, that air hits the microphone and you get a pop. Hence why they call this a pop filter. What the pop filter does is it kind of, think of a simple way of thinking of it is you can grab some pantyhose and put them over a circle, put it right in front of the microphone, and you have a pop filter. That's a real cheap way of building one. I've built a couple that way a couple times. But a professional singer, I should say, usually knows this, and they know to pull up. So that way the air, when they say those P's and B's, don't hit the microphone. If you have a professional singer, you won't have to have a pop filter. If you have someone who hasn't been trained, then they will just go ahead and sing, and those P's and B's will be popping the microphone. At that point, yes, definitely. Hey, put a pop filter there. That'll help your recordings, because then you won't have that instant that happens when you're recording. So pop filters, they won't change your sound, but they'll help you with those P's and B's that will pop the physical microphone diaphragm. So that way you don't have them in your recording. What it does is it just disperses the air to the sides. It filters out that air jet stream that comes from the P's and B's when you physically say those type of words, or words that start with those letters, I should say. So good question. Any other questions? I'm looking through also the chat, see if I missed anything from you guys.
Earlier I was talking about the floor and you had mentioned it, but I was just saying to whoever I was talking to, I can't even remember.
Mm-hmm.
But if you bringing up the volume, sometimes you're bringing up the floor, so all the sounds that you're trying to hide, you could be bringing that up too. And then
Mm-hmm.
you want headroom. Normally, what I do is I cut off about 5K, and I leave that for vocalists, just so that way that they can have their own headroom, just so I can get clear vocals out of the tape, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was just talking about earlier when you had asked. What was I talking about?
Oh, okay.
When you was talking about headroom and stuff. But whoever was asking, I was just kind of covering that topic.
All right, cool. Well, thank you. All right, are there any other questions, you guys?
I have one question.
Yes,
I noticed that in the readings and in the videos talk about the reflection panels and stuff like that. Should we be building them or buying them?
It's really up to you. Just understand how acoustics works, and then you work with what you have. You try to deal with it as best you can. I like to help you guys in the sense of, I'll even show you how to build panels if you really wanted to know. I've got some information I could send you or whatever. In fact, there's YouTube videos that are great because that reverb. God, I'm trying to remember the name right now. It's a metal piece that goes on your microphone, and it's kind of curved, and it's got foam all along it.
Reflection shield.
Reflection
panel.
Yeah, reflection shield. Those things, they can range anywhere from, at least they've come down quite a bit, but they're about $100 to $300.
Yeah, $300 is probably the cheapest I've seen.
And you guys are students. I was a student at one time too. We don't have that much money. So I just said, look, just our understanding, you guys could build these things. And that's why I put together that Reverb Killer box, how simple you could do it for free. It won't cost you anything.
Told me you can use a blanket and just do your entire session under a blanket and it comes out clear.
Yes. Actually, yes, you could do that too. I've had to record one time where I needed to record something in a location, and we were getting too much room reverb. So I grabbed 3 microphone stands, put them up around it, and grabbed blankets, nice thick blankets.
So that does work.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll help you get rid of, right there I got three walls that I got rid of as far as reflections. The only reflections.
On the fly, when you didn't have what you needed.
Correct. The only ones I couldn't get rid of was the roof. If it was a nice hard ceiling, then it would reflect off the roof, and the floor. But heck, if I need to, I'll throw a rug on the floor underneath the thing I'm recording. That would help too.
Right.
Just understanding acoustics are there, and they could be your friend and your enemy at the same time. But your understanding of this is essential, because then you go out and fix your recordings by oh shucks, this got too much reverb in it. Let's put up some blankets. Let's do this. Let's do that. You'll know what to be able to do.
Nice.
All right. Any other questions? One thing I will also tell you guys are more than welcome to ask me questions that aren't, after we finish the assignments like we have already done. You guys are more than welcome to ask me other questions that are audio related. If you've read my bio, I have quite a bit of experience. I've worked with some major artists, as well as also, I've radio to, I've done TV commercials, audio-wise. I've also done sound designing for a couple synthesizer companies.
Are you a mix engineer or?
I was a mix engineer mainly, yeah. I did do some mastering. I also did some co-producing.
Is there any software that you recommend for your mixes?
I was basically all Pro Tools and another software that's no longer around, but Logic now. So Pro Tools and Logic are my two main things I use. I know there's a lot of other very creative softwares out there, like people talk about LA Studios or Fruity Loops or some of the other ones out there, but my two to gravitate towards are Pro Tools and Logic.
Do you have a preference for your actual mix downs?
Honestly, no. I will use Pro Tools from start to finish, or I'll use Logic from start to finish. Only if let's say I started recording in Pro Tools and then we decide we want to do all the synth work, well then I'll transport it over to Logic.
Gotcha.
You will notice also that Pro Tools, you go out and buy Pro Tools, you get nothing but the DAW. You got to start buying all the plugins. Logic, you buy it and it comes filled with plugins and all kinds of synths and everything, which is kind of a plus. So
yes,
that I will say, Logic, if you're starting, is definitely the way to go. Sean points out, yes, Pro Tools is basically one of the industry standards. Both Pro Tools and Logic are the two main industry standards. Any other questions? Nothing?
Since nobody asked, I guess I'll jump in. When you went to these different leaps from per se radio to mixing down someone's track who wanted to, how do you go about your transitioning yourself to be able to go from one section to another without being caught up in that kind of mix?
I think for me it was the way I look at mixing and everything. I look at everything as technical, and I've been able to mix all kinds of genres and stuff, if that's what you're basically pointing towards.
Well, if you jump from one track, let's say you finish this up and then you jump onto a new track, and I've had to take a break, between them, just to try to recope with getting this out of my head and trying to reposition myself, because it might be completely genres or completely different genres, and I haven't found a median to bridge the gap on being able to go from one project to another without some type of pause. And I know in the industry you might not have that.
True, you can. Someone puts out a video game break. But yeah, sometimes just pulling yourself away. But I look at everything as just like problems. I'm very much a problem solver. So my mix is a problem. What I want to do is to make this problem, which is just a bunch of tracks, make it sound like a polished, fixed, end song. So I look at everything like that, and I just rethink each track and so forth. The funniest thing is that, for instance, my music of choice when I was younger would have been the 80s stuff, the alternative, so Depeche Mode, groups like that and everything. It combines synth stuff as well as live. And then I start mixing and stuff, and I end up doing, I grew up in Miami, so I also listened to Miami bass. But then I ended up mixing a reggae tune. And I was like, okay, I've heard reggae, I could do this. And next thing I know, I'm mixing all this reggae stuff because last person heard that project. And I ended up working with people like Third World. We got nominated for a Grammy, in fact, for that album. But
okay,
Third World, Bunny Ruggs heard my mixes done for another calypso artist that I had worked with, and he loved what I did. And it just, it was music genre that I didn't even really follow. Later with time, I now know all these artists and stuff, but at the beginning it was just, okay, he wants me to do this, I can do that, and I'd make everything sound the way he wanted and everything. Nice. So don't be, don't think, oh, I only listen to, let's say, heavy metal. Well, you never know. You might be doing R&B, and you might become one of the top R&B artists or engineers, I should say.
I used to. I do like let's say pop, right? I'll go from pop, and then I'll go from hip hop, and a lot of that might be similar. But then I might transition to a certain kind of pop where I need to either pull the vocals or push the vocals back, or do a lot of more reverb and stuff like that, which I'm coming from this other kind of track, which I didn't have to do that. So my mindset is a little bit different. And when I come into there, I'm just like, okay, I got to start my process over and say, okay, this is what I need to focus on. And sometimes I'll end up, and I notice I'll focus on something way too much. And I'll be like, okay, well, I put way too much emphasis on that, or way too much reverb on that, or way too much of this, just because of my other track. And that's why I was saying that I'm having that problem transition. And video games could be okay, but I like to just dive straight into what's next. I need to get it done.
All right. When you get to the mix assignment, we're going to point you towards a book to go check out. And we only point you to a couple chapters in it. But I would say go ahead and go check that one out. Right here, let me find it. Where is it? I thought it was in here. Well, nevertheless, it's Visual Mixing by Dave Gibbs. And
I know that book.
That book actually gives you a real nice way of hold on, I gotta shut off one mic that's got TV in it. There we go. All right. That book gives you a good way of thinking of how your mixes are visually, and that also helps out. And usually, like heavy metal sounds a certain way because, well, you'll always notice the guitars are louder than most of the other stuff and so forth, and everything's blended a certain way. Well, there's kind of a visual way of looking at each type of music that you could use as a way of creating your mixes. So I would say go check that out. You might find it helpful to you.
Okay. Is there anything that you, any realm that you preferred or liked better in the industry so far?
Heck, I've done a lot of techno, and I always enjoyed that. I have also recorded a lot of Miami bass, and since I grew up in Miami, I loved Miami bass. I got to work with Dynamix 2, did a lot of songs with them, as well as also Clay D. So if you've ever heard that song, Come On Ride the Train, I was the engineer on that one.
What?
So I had a lot of fun working with Clay D. We actually did it twice. We did it once under Disco and the City Boys and once under Quad City DJs. That song is actually out there twice. It's the same guy, basically sold it to two different people.
Nice. I do remember that song. That was a great song.
Yeah, Clay D was fun to work with. We also did a follow-up to it called The Caboose, which is on Luke Records.
Is there any specific areas you would say try it, but don't, should I say, focus all your energy in a certain area?
Not at all, because trying is what makes you sometimes become something different that everybody wants. So I always tell everybody, go ahead, understand your tools, which is what we're going to be showing you here. Understanding how your tools work lets you be able to create all the different sounds, and then start thinking how to use these tools out of the box. You're going to notice I give you guys a lot of tricks along with these lectures and so forth. How to use a gate in different ways, for instance. How to use it as a way of transforming audio. And there's nothing stopping you. As long as you know how to use these tools correctly, you could start using those tools in other ways too. Think out of the box. You might create a whole new sound that gets you well known. Good example of this is, I could tell you, everybody talks about gated reverb. During the 80s and 90s, the gated reverb sound was huge. Well, it was one engineer who worked with Genesis, so Phil Collins, and basically he gated the output of the reverb. And that created a whole new sound that everybody tried to copy for years on end. So it was him thinking out of the box. So definitely go and experiment. You know, if a client's paying you and telling you he wants it a certain way, do it that way. But if you get to be creative with stuff, go for it. An engineer can be just as creative as the artist. Sometimes makes the artist stand different genres even. I did a remix for Third World. We took one of their reggae songs that was 90 beats per minute. I turned it into 125 beats per minute. Changed the vocals a bit, restructured the song, made it a dance song that got released in Europe, and it did really well.
EDM or
kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And it was just me, listening to the vocals, going, "God, this would make a great EDM song."
Is that out there? Is there somewhere I can find this and listen to it?
Probably. It's "My Fire" was the name of the song. But it would be the Noisy Art remix.
Okay. I'll check that out.
Yeah, I actually, I have it. Let's see, where is iTunes? I have it in my laptop somewhere. And now I'm probably boring you guys who aren't really.
I really want to hear that song.
Okay, found it. There it is. Here is "My Fire," but this is of course, not the original reggae version, which is, just like normal reggae, 90 beats per minute. But
yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yo, you see when ladies are dropping at the club, I'm a bust out to wine in front of Bunny Robs. The man say, boy, me wine tight like gloves. Right now, I'm born way up the spot. Bunny Robs, I make me know I'm hot. I'll fire gash. So Bunny Robs, where I say, shot to me now.
Tell you, man.
Burn. Am I? Didn't know. I saw it go, I saw it go. Tell me now.
Did you add box to it, or?
Ain't doing no such thing.
No.
My fire, you're my burning desire.
It was this chorus area that made me really think it would be perfect for a dance song.
I take it you added the kick to it.
Oh yeah.
Ain't doing no such thing.
There's no original instruments. All I did was take the MIDI information from the bass guitar, and that's it.
Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
Burn up now. Oh, Bunny.
Girl, I can't maintain you.
Can you sustain me?
I can sustain
I wonder if you can mind me.
One thing I know.
You know who me is?
I can
Top
love
yard.
you, yes.
I hope you know who I am.
You're my burning desire.
And all I did was I restructured the vocals because that's not how they went on the original. But I had fun with it.
Yeah, it sounds great. I love it. So you probably took the audio clips and kept them the same, and
the only thing
sped up the track.
I sped up the vocals because that's all I used was the original vocals, and then because I did the recordings, I had what's her name?
Did you pitch the vocals?
No, the female on there is a famous Jamaican rapper. She got brought in for this song on the original. And then Bunny, you hear Bunny's vocal there, Bunny Ruggs, which is Third World. And she was just a guest artist. And because I was recording her, she was saying things sometimes in the vocal booth, just like, what do you mean, telling Bunny, And I was like recording everything. So I was hey, I could use this later.
Right. Hey, piece that all together to make something else out of it.
Yeah. So I had fun.
That's
I
awesome.
pieced it together. That's how I have her kind of call and response with him. it worked perfect, and I created a whole new song from it. The bass is the only thing, the acoustic bass. I took those notes and put in an electronic bass, but that's all that's original. Everything else is redone.
Not necessarily for me, but for mostly me and everybody else. What should we expect out of the industry, and what should we be expected to do as far as how much we put into our craft?
It's a lot to do with you. How much are you willing to put into it? The people who are go-getters and actually, want this bad enough and really work at it, you could see how some of the students, you'll have the Hall of Fame, for instance, at Full Sail. You could check that list of past students that have done amazing stuff. And, they were the ones who were really pushing and going, okay, I really want to do this. I want to do this. And they put in the time. It's got a lot to do with you. Sometimes we get lucky and we just fall into, you're at the right place at the right time. But a lot of it's hard work, just getting to where you want to be. I kind of, a little bit of both. I spent hours and stuff, really working at my craft and getting my sound. And then other times it was kind of like, I've got a phone call and it's Patrick Moraz. And I'm like, you're kidding.
Right.
I'm thinking this is a joke. Patrick Moraz of Yes and Moody Blues calling me. Hey, I've heard, someone was talking about you and I'd really like to work with you. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking this is my friends joking around. And nope, it was real. So I ended up, he came in and the first session was like, he was doing all kinds of weird stuff. And I'm like, I had to ask him, I said, what are we doing? Because this is not falling together. And I apologize if I'm wrong. And he looked at me and goes, you're absolutely right. No, this is not a song. I'm just testing you. Like, okay. Because he'd tell me, do this. So I'm like, okay, do this. And I ended up being his engineer for the next, 7 or 8 years. And I ended up co-producing some songs with him. But it was all him putting me to the test and, to see if I could do stuff.
Right. That's awesome. And you was working at a studio at the time, or?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just her. Okay.
He lived in LA and he flew out to Florida because I was in Orlando. He flew out to Florida to do a session with me. And I was like, okay, cool. I told him, yeah, I work at this studio. It was Audio Playground. And, this is the one I'm really used to. Or unless you want me to work at a different studio, but then I'll have to fly out to you or whatever. He said, no, I want to go work with you, yours, since you're used to that studio. And he flew out, stayed with me about a week. And he ended up moving to Orlando and lived in Orlando. And I worked with all his projects.
You mentioned that would you fly to him and work at another studio? How does that work? You would, if someone wanted you to work on their projects and they live somewhere else, you would just go into a studio that they needed you to go into?
Yeah, they would rent out a studio. We go rent a studio. Let's say, like in Miami, I've gone down to Crescent Studios a couple times in Miami, worked out of there, and you basically at that point you are the mix engineer, but usually you get an assistant engineer that is used to the studio. The assistant engineer helps you with the, hey, I want to use that compressor. Where's it patched in? Where can I patch it in? He knows where everything is, versus you coming in there and having to, learn the patch bay and learn everything.
Right.
But you're the one still mixing and doing everything. He's there just to kind of like, hey,
help you get your stuff done together.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Ever work on any movie stuff?
And the artist, full movies? No. Well, TV show called The Reppies. I did a kids. They were basically trying to do how Barney the dinosaur was real popular. They decided, well, let's do this for teens or preteens. So they did a rock and roll dinosaurs that sing and dance and do stuff called the Reppies, and I was the engineer on that stuff.
Nice. Nice.
And that was all filmed at Universal Studios here in Orlando.
That,
Okay.
that was actually my question, but I was going to ask you. I wanted to actually get into like trying to get placements for TV shows and movies and commercials and stuff. Do you have any placements?
Yes. The placement department at Full Sail has a huge list of all kinds of locations and stuff. Once you finish, or don't finish first. Go ahead and, once, let's say you're getting towards your 2 months to go till you've graduated, contact the placement department and they will help you start getting to know the different places that you could, go and apply, and they will help you with your resume and everything else.
Definitely.
We've actually got a really good placement department. I get phone calls from them because I graduated from Full Sail back in 1990. But I get phone calls from them even now, and I'm like, hey guys, I work for you. They're just checking up on me. So it's actually a really good department. They will go the extra mile sometimes for our students, which is great. All right. Any other questions?
You said you graduated 1990? I think
Yeah.
that's when Leslie graduated, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a couple of us. I graduated in 1990. I started engineering. I ran my own studios also. And then, short answer to it is I had long divorce, and then ended up, because I had guest spoke at Full Sail quite a few times because of some of the people I've worked with and everything. One day I was fed up with the divorce after 6 years. I just threw my hands up and said, "You want everything? Take it all." And I walked away and just changed my career. But at the same time, I've actually found that I really enjoy this. I enjoy, showing you guys how to do this stuff and, what really helped me in my career and stuff. Because I was, 17 years physically out in the field, working with artists and everything before I came out to Full Sail. So it was quite a bit of time, and even before Full Sail, I actually had a bit of an audio job. I was everything from DJing to doing DJ remixes and stuff. But after Full Sail, about 17 years out in the field, and then came into Full Sail. Now I've been there quite a few years, and I really enjoy it. I still engineer. If you guys, I know I always get asked that. I still get artists who call me and say, "Hey, look, I really need you on this project." Okay. And I go help them out. Turbo from I don't know if you guys remember. I've got the Power Snap, the group Snap. Turbo B was the voice on all that stuff, and he actually lives in Orlando, and he calls me up all the time, and I go work with him on projects.
Nice. You said you've been out there for 17 years?
Physically in studios, yeah.
And you've been teaching for 6 years?
No, going on 11 years.
11 years?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I've gotten
is there
old.
anything that you... No, not in that sense. I'm just saying experience-wise. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would say can help direct us correctly as new legs going out into the sea? Because, I know music is changing and technology is changing with it. So,
yes.
Is there anything that you would say that we should, maybe focus on, or just
this
direction
class
for us to go?
Focus on this class, because the basics are going to be so important for you guys. If you know the basics, if you understand what each one of these knobs do, you'll be able to, that knowledge is huge, because I could take that knowledge into any software, into anything. That stuff's never going to change. understanding how a compressor works is not going to change, but the softwares will. I mean, there's just going to be different ways of compression, but they're always going to have that threshold knob. They're always going to have the same knobs, you might say, no matter which plugin is. Yes, attack, release, whether it has a knee or not, soft knee, hard knee, all this stuff. All that will never change, but the software will. So just knowing the basics, you could translate it into any compressor versus just learning, you know, okay, well, just levels or something like that. It's so much more than just levels. Some people think it's just, oh, I just need to bring up and down levels. That's all I need to do. Now, there's a lot more science to it.
What do you find that most people have troubles with?
Hearing. You have to train your ears. A compressor should technically not be heard, in the sense, but at first, don't worry. I'm going to show you guys how to use compressors correctly, and then it's just going to take time for you guys to really master good compression, and that's probably one of the hardest things to do. EQ, understanding frequencies. I have a lot of times hard time people understanding high frequency to low frequency. They just, I don't hear the difference. I'm like, well, listen to it. I'm bringing up the highs. See how it sounds brighter and stuff. You'll see how the EQ assignment is put together. When you guys get there, you'll see how I've made it so that way you guys are listening. A lot of listening. I'm having you turn the knobs. I explain what each knob does, but then I have you turn the knobs and listen to what's happening, and I explain to you what's happening, and then I let you loose and okay, now you guys try it. You'll see most.
Do we get to discover limiter in this class as well?
Yeah, you'll touch into limiting.
Because I sometimes use a limiter or a compressor with limiters, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Just I use one as the other, or vice versa.
You'll get to touch onto those. We talk about it a little bit.
Okay.
We go more in depth into the compressor, and then we mention how the limiter is very similar. Usually used on the output, and it's basically, think of it as a brick wall. Limiter is just like a brick wall compressor, where it just will not allow any signal above the threshold to go anywhere.
Right.
All right. I've done stage work and live studio before. Great, Scott. I guess that brings up a good point. Mix engineers could be a studio mix engineer or live, and I've done both. Studio is a lot more fun and easier. It's not as stressful. Live, you're doing this on the fly, real time, and you can't go back, rewind, and try it again. Live, hey, if you screwed up, that audience will hear it. And there's no way around it. So, a lot more stressful, but it's also a lot of fun too. You could put yourself to a challenge to, really get. So Gina says without a safety net. Yes. Live is more without a safety net. So if you're going to tackle live, definitely know your stuff. Because if you hear feedback immediately, that's annoying the audience. You need to know which knob to grab to bring down that feedback instantly without removing the vocal. Because let's say the vocal mic has feedback on it. If you bring down the whole level, yes, you bring down the feedback, but then no one can hear the vocalist anymore. You can use an EQ to snag that feedback out without touching the rest of the vocal. You'll learn about this stuff when you hit that EQ session. Any other questions? Scott says it didn't deal with front of house, more so monitors. Yes, monitors are, for you guys who may not know, monitor mixing is you're sitting literally quite often to the side of the stage, and you're setting the levels to each musician. You have to do, if there's 5 musicians, you might have to do 5 different mixes at one time, making sure that that musician hears the things that he wants to. So even monitors, you may not be hitting the whole audience, but you've got the whole band, and if you'll hear it from the band members if you're screwing up on their monitor mix. they're gonna start screaming at you, "Hey, I need more vocal," you know, or whatever. So yeah, I've done both. Mainly live, front of house, but a couple times I've had to do, heck, I've had to do both sometimes, where you're both front of house and monitor whenever you're doing a smaller gig. Anything else? Well, if you guys have no more questions for me, I guess we could call it a night. Thanks for hanging out. I mean, I know you guys didn't have to hang out the whole time, but I'm always glad to hang out with you guys and give you, you know, information that might help you, you know, with your careers. For me, when I found out that the album was nominated for a Grammy and stuff, you know, that was like, woohoo, I made it. But you know, that was a great feeling, and I hope everybody has that. You know, every one of my students, I hope they all get to that point once, you know, where they really get to do that one session or get to work with their favorite artists or whatever. So always like hearing stuff like that. So then I guess I will see you next Tuesday. Now remember, this is all being recorded, and I'm just going to put it into the archive later on tonight. You should see it by about 12 midnight. You guys take care. Let's see. I got a question here. I took a class before. Oh, someone's asking about their interface. FSO support. No. The best way would be if you contact the helpline, the tech helpline, which is a GoToMeeting, and unfortunately they're closing down right now. But your instructor also can help you out. Send them an email telling them what's happening, and just real quick. All right, Professor Tried. So, are you using the 18i20 by chance? That's the Focusrite 18i20. Yes. Okay, great. Then what I want you to try, if you haven't already, is to, like I was saying earlier to some people, is make sure you have Focusrite Control, which is the software you download from Focusrite. It gives you, it's a software that fully controls the 18i20. And in that, you open it up, have your interface connected. It will say, okay, it's connected and so forth. But there, tell it to go back to factory setting. That should take care of any problems that you might have. Sometimes the physical interface loses its mind, you might say, and forgets that it's supposed to be working as an interface, because the 18i20 has a lot of features that you could add just software-wise, and it reroutes signal all kinds of ways, and sometimes you'll end up losing your headphones. I've had it happen at the one that we had at school a few times, and I just reset it. Everything comes back. So give that a try, Ashley, I believe. And if it still doesn't work, the helplines, or contact me, or any of us. Oh, who's your instructor, Ashley? I'll talk to them to make sure. Is it Nathaniel or Nat? Or is it Ron? Nat? Okay. I'll talk to Nat tomorrow, and we'll try together to help you out, all right? Yes, Mr. Carpenter. So Nat Carpenter. That's the one. All right. So then, again, I guess I will say good night and see you guys on next Tuesday. And if you think of any questions, definitely email us. You can email, right from FSO. It'll send us a message, and we usually tackle the emails first thing in the morning of each day. So we'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, guys. You guys take care. Everybody take care. Have a great evening. Night, everyone. See you next Tuesday.
All right, see ya.